With just a touch, he masters legendary sword arts and crafts god-tier weapons without ever holding a hammer. Master Blacksmith stands speechless, watching his divine movements as if a god of the forge has descended. Just yesterday, Vo-Tan was a nobody who accidentally consumed a mystical, poisonous mushroom that altered his fate. In a psychedelic trance, he lived the life of 𝑳𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔, the legendary progenitor of all divine forging. He spent 20 years forging 5 celestial blades before ascending to the heavens as the ultimate crafting god. As divinity called, a spilled cup of wine snapped Vo-Tan back to reality, ending his ethereal trip. Suddenly, a furious roar erupted from the clinic as a nobleman stormed out, cursing his father's medical skills. Xiao Zhang sighed, complaining about the arrogant court officials who treat commoners like trash under their boots. Rushing inside, Vo-Tan found his father staring despondently at a single, twisted acupuncture needle. The failure wasn't skill, but a cheap, bent needle, yet Vo-Tan suddenly heard a strange resonance within it. Was this an after-effect of the mushroom? He gripped the low-quality metal, trembling with an inexplicable, burning rage. "You call this a needle?" Every imperfection screamed at him, fueling a mysterious frustration deep within his soul. Walking through the market, the sight of subpar craftsmanship began to give him a pounding headache. But when he touched a master-crafted blade, ecstasy surged through him, making onlookers think he was a creep. Had that dream granted him the divine eyes of the forge, he could see every secret technique hidden within. The legendary movements of the crafting god were manifesting right before his very eyes in a vivid display. Driven by burning curiosity, Vo-Tan marched into a local forge to put his new awakening to the test. He challenged the master's son, Shizhai Sheng, but was met with mockery and a torrent of insults. Smirking, the blacksmith pointed at a pile of blades, daring the nobody to find a single flaw. Vo-Tan instantly identified the hidden masterpieces. Sheng froze. How could this brat recognize his father's greatest works? Humiliated and desperate, the blacksmith barked, "If you are such a genius, why don't you forge something yourself?" Accepting the challenge, Vo-Tan ignited the furnace, letting the forbidden dream knowledge guide his every lightning-fast movement. His hammer fell with rhythmic perfection, dancing between power and precision, leaving the professional blacksmith trembling in fear. It was as if a ghost had possessed him. Behind the boy, the phantom of the crafting god appeared. Is this true talent? Just as the witness begged for more, Vo-Tan stopped. "That was just my warm-up." He forged a set of divine needles for his father, turning the clinic into a sanctuary for satisfied nobles. Patients were stunned. The needles were so perfect they felt absolutely no pain, only pure, refreshing heavenly energy. It was a medical miracle. Word spread like wildfire, making their humble clinic the most famous in the capital. Every single day, endless crowds fought for a spot in line, desperate for a taste of divine healing. Suddenly, chaos erupted. A dangerous swordsman forced his way through, radiating a chilling aura of pure, unadulterated death. With godlike speed, he carved a name into a victim's chest with his blade. "The mad doctor has arrived." Such terrifying precision. Vo-Tan realized this old man was a supreme martial master hiding in plain sight. The name rang a bell. Terror struck Vo-Tan as he recognized the face of the infamous hospital killer. A wanderer of the martial world, and one of the 8 legendary divine physicians under the heavens. An eccentric freak who uses medicine and steel to judge life and death, slaughtering anyone without a single shred of mercy. But beyond his fame, he was a cold-blooded serial killer who left a trail of bodies behind him. Having murdered dozens of innocent doctors across the Central Plains, Vo-Tan realized his father was the next target. Eyes wide with horror, Vo-Tan glared at the killer's back and let out a desperate, earth-shaking scream. Falling to his knees, he roared in defiance, pointing toward the clinic where his father faced certain doom. Panic surged through his veins as he lunged forward, reaching out for his father with all his might. Suddenly, a heavy hand clamped onto his shoulder. Vo-Tan spun around to find Tran Tong holding him back. "Vo-Tan, stop!" The King Cheng martial master hissed through gritted teeth, his face pale with repressed fear and anger. Confusion turned to rage. Master, why? How can you say we are powerless to fight back against him? Even as a branch leader, you can't stop him. Sweat poured down Tran Tong's face as he hesitated. His eyes snapped shut in shame. Not even my own master could stand against the mad doctor's wrath. But he is a monstrous physician. He shook his head helplessly, remembering how even his master once relied on that man to save a sect leader. Pure shock washed over his face. His eyes widened at the thought of the sect leader's survival. Could the eccentric doctor truly work miracles? Wu Jin collapsed beside Zhen Song, his head hanging in defeat. Choked sobs escaped his throat, but Zhen Song reached out a comforting hand. His father's touch was gentle upon Wu Jin's trembling shoulder. He spoke softly, telling him not to fear the dark rumors surrounding the doctor. Zhen Song faced the Crimson Gate and spoke firmly. The man I met was eccentric, yes, but he was certainly no villain. Suddenly, Li Zhang swung the heavy doors open with a thunderous crash. Li Zhang marched forward with unwavering confidence and a smirk, while Wu Jin remained fixated on the veteran's legendary blade. He gasped in awe, noticing Li Zhang's sleeves were perfectly clean and untouched by filth. A true master, Wu Jin whispered. Exhaling a long breath, Wu Jin closed his eyes in relief. But suddenly, Li Zhang slammed a heavy hand onto his shoulder. Hey, a mysterious and chilling smile spread across Li Zhang's face. I hear there is a brilliant doctor and a master smith in these parts. Li Zhang leaned in close to interrogate Wu Jin. Do you know him? The boy began to tremble violently under the gaze. Yes, I know him, he answered obediently. Li Zhang seemed satisfied. He patted Wu Jin's shoulder and gave a sharp command. Is that so? Then lead the way. Wu Jin glanced at him and quickly complied. Yes, sir. His eyes were locked onto the ancient sword hilt at the man's waist. Sweat began to pour down Wu Jin's face. He tried to suppress the rising terror in his heart. Wu Jin jumped as Li Zhang's booming voice echoed again. Hey, the man turned with a terrifying grin. Why aren't you moving? I'm a very busy man. This only made Wu Jin more flustered. He gritted his teeth and stuttered his response as black smoke billowed from a nearby workshop. At that moment, Li Zhang's eyebrows shot up. He pointed toward the forge with a look of pure amazement. Are you saying you created this yourself, not your father? Wu Jin clasped his hands together and nodded with a humble smile. Yes, Li Zhang burst into a boisterous laugh, throwing his head back in pure excitement. Truly, the world's greatest oddities gather in Sichuan. Spittle flew from his mouth as he roared, but he didn't care one bit. Now even a doctor's son has mastered the art of metallurgy. A muscular man standing nearby asked with curiosity, Who is he? Wu Jin quickly covered his mouth and whispered back, He is a legend of the martial world. Li Zhang laughed until tears formed in his eyes, wiping them away with a grin. What does it matter who does what? It has been ages since I laughed like this. Your name is Tang Wu Jin, right? Forge me 30 needles of the finest quality. Li Zhang then produced a bar of shimmering gold that blinded everyone. This shall be your payment. Both of them stood frozen, their eyes bulging at the sight of the pure gold in Li Zhang's hand. Wu Jin snatched the gold with both hands and bowed deeply in gratitude. Thank you, great one. Please stay for a meal. I shall finish before sunset. Li Zhang frowned in shock, his voice rising in disbelief. Before the sun sets? You mean today? Wu Jin nodded quickly, making the veteran warrior find the claim even harder to believe. Not in a few months, but today, Wu Jin remained calm. That is correct. The man tilted his head. Even grandmasters take months. Clutching the gold bar, Wu Jin beamed with a radiant smile. His eyes were glued to the treasure. I will get it done today. Li Zhang scowled with blatant contempt and disgust. This is no ordinary item, and it wasn't prepared in advance. How dare this brat promise to finish it in one day? He must be lying out of pure greed for the gold. Wu Jin, however, remained lost in the glow of the precious metal. I will start now. My needles will be more exquisite and superior to my father's. He clenched his fist with newfound confidence. "Please do not worry, Elder. I will surely succeed." The muscular man nearby pointed at Wu Jin and praised him. "He can really do it." Silence fell as Li Zhang watched them intently. Suddenly, he threw back his purple cloak, causing Wu Jin to stare in absolute shock. The sword on his back radiated an invisible, crushing pressure that struck fear into everyone's soul. Sweat dripped down Wu Jin's cheek as he realized his greed almost made him forget the danger. As he trembled, Li Zhang sat down calmly. He gave Wu Jin a warning look, accompanied by a deadly, blood-chilling smile. "Go ahead and try, but if you fail, you're a dead man." Wu Jin's terrified scream pierced through the heavy workshop smoke. "Yes, sir." Suddenly, sparks exploded from the chimney, dancing wildly around the burning logs. Meanwhile, Li Chang silently observed his companion's relentless, tireless labor. He recalled the grueling process of honing 100 steel threads to craft a single, flawless needle. Before him, the young man raised his heavy hammer high, ready to shape destiny. Tang clan needles are never forged by mere luck. I shall witness his true potential. His gaze locked onto those powerful arms. Since when did a mere doctor possess such explosive muscle? Suddenly, a thunderous boom echoed through the forge, snapping the master's focus back. As black smoke billowed, the rhythm of iron on iron intensified. The boy gripped his hammer tight. Startled, Li Chang's eyes widened as the hammer struck the glowing metal with divine precision. Pure shock flickered in his eyes. The boy's muscles rippled like waves while crushing the stubborn steel. The hammer collided with the white-hot metal before he expertly folded the glowing shard in two. With each strike, the blade thinned. He tossed the metal aside and swung again with monstrous power. The scene mirrored perfectly in his pupils. Despite the suffocating soot, a calm voice cut through. "Apologies for the long wait." Drenched in sweat, he flashed a confident, boyish grin. "Here is your order." The master's visible excitement only deepened the young man's confusion. Clutching the gold, he recoiled. "You want me as your student, but why choose me?" The elder's explanation was blunt. "Why else would I offer? You weren't born to rot in some dusty infirmary." He smirked, his face twisting into a terrifying mask. Not interested. The boy avoided his gaze, his heart racing as he stammered for words. "It's not that. I've simply grown fond of the forge's heat and the rhythm of steel." "What could I possibly learn from you?" That question seemed to amuse the old master greatly. "You wonder what I can teach." His hand blurred, instantly seizing the hilt of his blade. In that split second, a lethal glint flashed dangerously between his fingertips. "I can grant you two paths." The boy crossed his arms, whispering a curious question. "Which two?" Steam billowed from the hearth, where droplets of moisture still clung to the cooling iron. Panic surged as he realized 3 needles were already buried in his shoulder. The surrounding room lay shattered. Supreme martial arts and divine medicine. The master smirked, radiating an aura of absolute dominance. "Well, do you crave this power?" The young man bit his lip, wrestling with his rising ambition. To be the heir of a legend, a student to one of the 3 great physicians. A vision of a grand fortress appeared. Was this the chance to master both sword and soul? With a crazy doctor as my mentor, even the King Cheng sect wouldn't dare trample our clinic again. But his voice wavered with doubt. "Why would a master like you choose someone like me?" "Having a talented, agile blacksmith by my side makes life much easier, doesn't it?" The boy recoiled, eyeing him with suspicion. "You're doing all this just for a blacksmith?" "I teach, you forge. It's a fair trade." Despite his pale face, the boy remained respectful. "This isn't a master and student bond. It's simply a cold, calculated transaction." "A deal or a bond, what's the difference?" He reached out, his smile hiding a deeper test. "If a patient is consumed by evil qi, their blood reversed and body frozen. What then? How would you heal them?" The boy stood tall, his eyes burning with medical resolve. "First, stabilize the core. Then prescribe the divine herbs." The master nodded, impressed by his brilliance. Those who master the ancient medical texts are truly worthy of learning the forbidden arts. The boy forced a nervous laugh. But how do medical scrolls relate to killing moves? Do you truly think martial arts is just about raw, brutish strength? The boy stood frozen. Try teaching a fool, and you'll understand. He brought a needle dangerously close to the boy. Even with a divine gift, the talentless only see shadows. They are merely mediocre. Mediocre. The master opened his palm, beginning his final, mysterious explanation. These needles, mortals cannot grasp their divine complexity. Wotan stared intently at Lai Trung. Master. His voice trembled with a mix of nerves and resolve. Can I truly become a peerless master? Lai Trung blinked in surprise at the boy's ambition. A peerless master, he repeated slowly. Wotan stumbled out the door, the master's words echoing. True talent shines naturally. He clenched his fists tight. Gritting his teeth, his face hardened with iron will. Wotan marched away from the building. Hope blazed in his eyes. He laughed, fueled by a new dream, reaching the absolute peak. He lunged, throwing a fierce punch into the air, followed by a swift, high kick. Screaming with joy, he danced through martial forms in a state of pure euphoria. Suddenly, his ankle gave out and he crashed into the dirt. But he just lay there, laughing. His father appeared. Wotan scrambled up, bowing low. Father, I have returned late. He smiled even before his father. Suddenly, the old man's trembling hand landed on his shoulder. Panic flared. Wotan grabbed his father's arm. Father, what is wrong? Are you ill? He looked up, eyes wet. I heard you left with that eccentric physician. I feared the worst. His frail body shook. I thought the rumors were true. Are you truly safe, my son? Wotan smiled gently. Do not worry, father. He is not as scary as they say. He helped the old man inside. That is good then, the father muttered. Safety is everything. But why take him to the forge so long? Wotan whispered. About that. His father fell silent, lost in thought. He wants you as a disciple. Decide by tomorrow. Sweat rolled down Wotan's cheek. A legendary doctor wanting a disciple. He watched his father nervously. Seeing his father shaking more violently, Wotan cried out in alarm. Father. His hand froze midair. He forced a smile as his father stood dead still. Why stop so suddenly? Suddenly, the old man sprinted inside. Wotan reached out, confused. Moments later, his father returned. In his hands was a white cloth, bulging with shimmering silver ingots. Wotan took the silver, stunned. Why? Why are you giving me so much money? His father's gaze was steady. Pack your things, go. Wotan gasped, eyes wide with shock. Go, but father, the workshop. We are short-staffed. He sighed, deflated. Besides, he is the eccentric physician. This could all be a cruel joke. The old man reached out. The shop does not matter. He gripped Wotan's shoulder. Go now. This is your only chance, Wotan. Tears welled in the young man's eyes, filled with gratitude. He looked at the ancient tree nearby. His father stood there, unmoving, like a silent guardian. The wind brushed through his hair. Watching his father, he realized the weight of his words. Visions of butterflies around the old tree appeared. He realized his father, too, once had dreams. Wotan closed his eyes on the grass, feeling divine energy flowing through his veins. In just 2 days, he mastered the small circulation. Every meridian hummed with new life. Days passed. His weak internal power began to pool, growing denser with every sunrise. A mystical aura swirled around him. He opened his eyes, now one with the energy. How could he describe this? He felt stronger. No, he had ascended to a new level. Under the tree, bathed in magical light, he whispered his thanks. He was ready to leave. Thank you, father. Lai Trung tossed a chestnut at him. Missing home already, boy. Wotan ignored the nut bouncing off his head and looked up at his mentor. No, master, he replied. Lai Trung watched him intently. Wotan stood, fists clenched with excitement. Today, I feel my inner power has doubled since yesterday. Lai Trung leapt down gracefully. Impressive, this is getting interesting, the master remarked. Wotan could not hide his grin. So I really do have talent, Lai Trung smirked. You are decent, your cultivation speed is average. Votan just laughed, throwing a triumphant punch. He was finally on the path to greatness. While others take 10 days, I mastered the small orbit in just a few. My body is surging with energy. Did that dream of the legendary blacksmith grant me hidden talent? Lai Trung scoffed at the idea. Talent? He tossed a sword that the boy caught with lightning reflexes. The master then casually picked up a simple wooden branch from the ground. He smirked. If you're so confident, strike me. Land one hit and I'll carry you home. Full of pride, the boy drew the blade. The cold steel reflected his nervous, trembling face. Are you serious? His confidence wavered, the weight of the real sword shaking his resolve. This is a real blade. One slip and it's over. Cold sweat poured down his pale face. Wait, I can do this. He recalled 10 days of impossible growth. I have evolved. His eyes widened as a reckless thought struck. Could he win if he caught the master off guard? Seeing Lai Trung distracted, the boy lunged forward like a coiled spring, blade flashing. The master didn't even move. He just blew on his fingers. A surprise attack then. The earth trembled as Lai Trung's aura exploded. 10 days and you've grown this arrogant. He turned lazily, raising the fragile wooden stick against the incoming steel. Sharp steel clashed with wood. The boy gritted his teeth, pouring every ounce of strength into the strike. It felt like hitting solid iron. Not even a scratch appeared on the thin branch. Clench your teeth, the master commanded. The boy stared back, confused and breathless. Lai Trung wore a devious grin as he channeled pure energy into the wood. The air turned heavy. Is this internal chi? The boy's mind raced. It felt like a crushing tidal wave. Sweat drenched his clothes. Under the master's overwhelming pressure, his strength felt utterly insignificant. With a simple flick, the boy was sent flying. Dust and smoke choked the forest air. He collapsed, gasping for air on the grass. Lai Trung loomed over him with a sharp question. How does it feel to taste true internal power? The boy wiped his mouth, glaring back. This is cheating, he shouted. Shouldn't the one with more mana always be the strongest? The old man chuckled. To a certain extent, you aren't entirely wrong about that. He rested the stick on his shoulder. Even I don't have endless mana to waste on direct clashes. But martial arts aren't that simple. Why so impatient? You're just a lowly healer. Is there someone you're desperate to punish? The boy stood up, his spirit dampened. You promised I'd be a master, but with my pathetic energy, it will take a lifetime. Whack! The wooden stick cracked against his head, sending a jolt of sharp pain through him. Mana isn't everything, the master hissed. There are many paths to the peak of the world. You sensed my energy and tried to counter it by channeling your own, didn't you? Seeing the boy's shock, he smiled. Not a bad instinct. Now again, this time without my aura. The boy swallowed hard, his eyes burning with a new fire. He raised his sword once more. His determination flared. Digging his heels into the dirt, he leaped forward with explosive speed. I'll definitely get you back for that, he roared, swinging the blade with everything he had. The master's eyes narrowed. He raised the wood to block, and the boy saw his chance. Now, he thought, but suddenly the old man vanished, striking his forehead in a blur. The sword clattered away as the boy hit the dirt. Lai Trung looked down and laughed. See, even without mana, you've already died 3 times. He squatted down to observe his pupil. The speed of your mana cultivation is actually quite mediocre, he stated bluntly. Your body isn't built for massive power bursts. The boy waited, heart sinking, for the final verdict. Then Lai Trung gestured wildly. But you have a rare gift, perfect sensitivity and lightning-fast energy control. Your current swordplay is honestly trash, the master teased with a wink. But your ability to infuse energy makes you a hidden gem. You'll find your way, kid. Li Zhang grinned, stroking his chin. 10 days for this result was truly exceptional. Infinite's body trembled. You mean? He looked up, his hands clenched with life. Am I a second-class warrior? Li Zhang struck him. I shouldn't have praised you. I'm a genius, he shouted, but they both froze at a sudden, suspicious sound. A beast? Infinite asked. No, it's a person on 2 legs, Li Zhang countered. They crouched low behind the grass, watching the mysterious figure in the woods. Cat Joy didn't notice them. Infinite quickly spotted his high-ranking 3-knot belt. Li Zhang's face turned grim. Why is a branch leader in these mountains? Infinite gasped. A branch leader, then he is a peak-level master. The plague! Cat Joy greeted them with a bow and a weary smile. The village is dying. Finding a healer like you is a rare blessing. Infinite was confused. A 2-hour trip took half a day. How was he so lost? Cat Joy scratched his head. I have never left Chu village in my life. Luckily, you aren't infected. Cat Joy lowered his head, his heart heavy with sorrow. Master and I escaped. The weakness started spreading through the village a month ago. It seemed like a common cough, but soon half were sick and 20 died. Men buried the dead through the smoke. Cat Joy looked back with deep regret. Dark circles haunted his eyes. This land is my home. I couldn't leave it. Master and I stayed to save our people from this invisible, soul-crushing monster. We worked with the healer, but our precious medicine supplies have finally run dry. He recalled his master's words. Care for the sick until I return from the mountains. I'll be back soon. Just hold on a little longer, his master had promised. But the deadline passed. His master was missing. Was the herb too rare to find? Cat Joy bowed in gratitude. Thank you for helping me, great doctors. They stood together, looking at the distant, crumbling houses of the dying Chu village. We're here. Hong Keen, the protector, weakly invited them into his home. They entered. A boy lay shivering, his body covered in angry, red pustules. Infinite checked the pulse, then stared at the sticky, feverish sweat on his hands. His brow furrowed in concern as he analyzed the boy's rapidly failing condition. The pulse was weak. With a burning head and cold limbs, the fire was back flowing. Has he vomited? The man nodded. He keeps screaming about severe headaches and dizziness. Li Zhang watched closely as Infinite began the critical examination of the sick child. Infinite's diagnosis was heavy. This is the great warm plague, master. The man trembled. What is the name of this curse? Is there a cure? It looks like fire poison, but the lack of scent makes it far more deadly. If the heat hits the brain, he'll go blind, Infinite warned with terrifying seriousness. We must use acupuncture on the Ren app, and Thunder God points to drain the fire. He listed the herbs. Li Zhang's lips curled into a very proud, knowing smile. You know the canon well. Now perform the acupuncture yourself and save him. Yes. Infinite pulled a sharp, shimmering silver needle from his medical bag. His hand shook. He gripped the boy's leg, his mind filled with sudden doubt. Is this the right point? I've never actually used a needle before. Li Zhang placed 2 fingers on Infinite's arm. Infinite looked up, confused by his master. Breathing isn't just for combat. A healer's internal qi is a divine, rare gift. Infinite's eyes widened as Li Zhang's legendary energy flowed through his entire body. Boundless watched as a sinister crimson aura flared on the boy's brow. My master's essence guides me, revealing the hidden killing intent like stones in a stream. Lai Trung withdrew his hand. Did you feel the malice? Votan nodded firmly. Focus, the master commanded. Apply the needles and track the shift in intent. 1 needle in the leg, then the chest. Votan's energy flowed deep and true. Master Lai watched the final needles. Sweating and wide-eyed, Votan never broke his gaze. The child's breath hitched as a violent tremor shook his small, fragile frame. A foul red mist escaped the boy's lips. Votan finally breathed a sigh of relief. The child drifted into a peaceful sleep. The room fell into a heavy, silent vigil. Exhaling in relief, Votan felt his master's steady hand on his weary shoulder. Old master, Lai Trung smiled, you've truly grasped the essence of healing today. He praised Votan's sweat-soaked face, acknowledging the young man's immense growth. This look suits you best. You have finally become a true divine physician. A shadow vanished outside as their guide spoke of the legendary Yone Medical Hall. Yone's master gave everything to fight the plague when it first erupted. He claimed only rare crimson herbs from distant lands could stop the rot. He trusted the merchants with everything. Wotan marveled at such noble sacrifice. The whole village pooled their gold, waiting for the life-saving medicine to arrive. But in this desolate valley, merchants were a rare and fickle sight. The doctor went into the mountains himself. He saved my boy's life. Without his intervention, my son would have been claimed by death's cold grip. The man gestured toward their lodging, his gratitude finally outweighing his past anger. Rest here. It is abandoned, but it will serve your needs well enough. Their guide departed. Inside, Lai Trung's eyes narrowed at an old, weathered cabinet. His gaze shifted to a table, shrouded in the dim, flickering evening light. A discarded doll lay at his feet. A flicker of suspicion crossed his face. He stared intensely at the toy, resting on the dusty, forgotten floorboards. As Wotan unpacked, he praised the doctor's kindness. Lai Trung remained eerily silent. Yon's master, you mean? Wotan looked around the village in total awe. Such a peaceful place. How could a dark plague take root here? Look at the gifts. The villagers' hearts are truly pure and generous. Lai Trung warned him. Eat only what is needed. We must repay them soon. Understood, old man. Wotan paused. But what is this plague exactly? Lai Trung poured water. I have seen much, but this defies all logic. Wotan's jaw dropped. Could there be a sickness his master didn't know? Impossible. Even one of the three great healers is baffled by this. Knowledge is a vast ocean. The more we learn, the more mysteries appear. Wotan accepted a cup, stunned. I thought you were truly omniscient. If I knew everything, I wouldn't need to wander this chaotic world. Wotan trembled. Was there ever a life you couldn't save, master? Lai Trung walked away. A life I couldn't save. Yes, there was one. I found the cure, but by then, it was already far too late. Wotan fell silent. Suddenly, a haunting wail pierced through the window. Screams of agony echoed through the valley, drowning the village in sorrow. Wotan's expression darkened. This nameless shadow had to be stopped now. He stared at the sick child, haunted by regret. If only he had known the truth sooner. Infinite sat in heavy silence as Li Zhang spoke. My wife and daughter, they died from that very plague. Eyes fixed on a tattered doll, agonizing memories flooded back. A sudden fever, followed by those terrifying red rashes. I searched everywhere, even bringing in the most famous physician from the neighboring village. Li Zhang kept his gaze locked on the toy, but neither of them knew how to save them. While I was desperately seeking a cure, they vanished, gone, in just 4 days since the symptoms began. Infinite clasped his hands in sympathy. Master, please accept my condolences. Li Zhang gave a bitter, mocking laugh. No, this isn't a tragedy. He raised his cup, his eyes flashing. The ending is actually quite hilarious. Li Zhang recalled standing by the door, staring at a red cloth and that lonely doll. After losing them, I wandered like a ghost, driven by a madness that forced me to leave home. He eventually reached a small village 10 days later, standing before a weathered signpost. It should have taken 1 day, but I wandered aimlessly like a lost boy. An old lantern swayed nearby. That village had its own doctor. Li Zhang sat before an old man with 2 massive buck teeth. I still remember that village physician. He had the face of a rat and 0 credibility. Desperate, he described the symptoms. The doctor's response made Li Zhang's eyes widen in absolute shock. Just 5 coins for this medicine. Take it on time, and they will be cured instantly. A heavy, suffocating silence fell between Li Zhang and the rat-faced old man. I had bags of silver, enough for 10 dowries, yet my family died for 5 measly coins. Li Zhang offered a faint, hollow smile as Infinite watched him with growing unease. They didn't die from poverty or lack of herbs. One doctor simply knew and the other didn't. Isn't that pathetic? That is why I became a physician, to gather every scrap of medical knowledge in existence. He drained his cup in 1 gulp. 30 years have passed. I can barely even remember their faces now. Infinite turned toward the window in silence, his heart heavy with the weight of his master's past. As sunset crimsoned the mountain village, a sense of impending doom began to stir within Infinite's soul. His master's laughter sounded like a hidden sob. The next morning, Infinite declared, "I'm investigating the village's source." Li Zhang nodded. "Good, we shall both scout the area and then regroup to strike." "But remember," the master warned, "if they catch you slacking, your life is forfeit." Infinite gave a confident salute. Beside a pigsty, Infinite rested his chin on his hand, observing the animals with sharp, calculating eyes. He checked the well and descended into a dark cellar, searching for any trace of hidden corruption. Pointing toward a nearby house, he asked, "Is this where the scholar first fell ill?" Hong Keen nodded grimly. Suddenly, a faint purple aura flickered, the unmistakable scent of sinister energy. One energy chills the bone like ice, while the other boils the blood in a raging fire. Though the symptoms differ, both stem from the same foul darkness lurking in damp, forgotten corners. Yet, from the wells to the cellars, the village seemed eerily devoid of any lingering evil qi. Infinite frowned, his mind racing. If this is a plague, there must be a single ground zero. He turned to the guards. Did the scholar truly get sick first? They hesitated. Yes, it spread in order. Cat Jioi pointed toward the terrain, tracing the path the infection had taken through the village. The west side fell first, and the children were taken long before the adults, he reported grimly. Infinite's expression sharpened. What is the real difference between the east and the west of this village? There had to be a trigger. Cat Jioi crossed his arms, recalling an old local superstition. They say the east is filled with light, while the west belongs to the shadows. Infinite immediately disagreed. That's nonsense. We saw no sickness on the road from the west. Why did the children fall first? He closed his eyes, visualizing the village. What is the one thing children do that adults don't? Cat Jioi suddenly remembered. If it's about the kids, they always gather at the small western stream. Infinite's eyes snapped open, his fist clenching. The water! Could the source be the water itself? The eastern well is pure. Why does it run dry, Chief? Hong Keen sighs. It only vanishes during the spring droughts. A pattern emerges. Did the plague strike as the well failed? The timing is perfect. A cold sweat breaks on my brow. No well meant using the stream. That's why they fell first. A crystal stream flows, hiding a dark secret within. I kneel. The water looks pure, yet something feels wrong. I touch the flow. Nothing seems suspicious at first glance. No stench, no murkiness, but logic points to these waters. One way to know for sure. The others watch silently. I sip the water, then sit and meditate. Mana erupts. A mystic aura shocks everyone watching. Inside the main character, a sinister red vapor swirls. My eyes snap open. This toxin matches the sick children. Found it, I stand and grin. The source is close. Move out, the forest whispers as the wind chills us. We push upstream, supporting the chief through the brush. Panting, I stop and gaze toward the high peaks. That smell, Cat Jioi nods. The stench is overwhelming. I stare at the mist. We are standing at death's door. Our trio pushes deeper into the heart of the cursed woods. I gag. Trees are dying, the source is right here. Toxic haze fills the air. I struggle forward, eyes wide. Look, the very ground is rotting from the poison. The earth is decomposing. I stumble through the sludge. Heavens, I fight for balance, staring at the blackened soil. Something is buried here. I sense a deep, hidden malice. A vision flashes, an old cabinet, memories of ancient medicine. A pharmacy, where life and death often share a bed. The death of plants, or the death of beasts. Usually, these halls carry a scent of hope and healing. I once loved that smell. I gaze out the window. Death holds life's key, but this is just pure murder. I stab the ground, below, a pit of rotting carcasses. No healing here, only death. Who did this? Why? Dig them up. We must clear the stream at once. Cat Jioi pulls a mangled limb from the dark pit. Master, look. Someone butchered and buried these animals intentionally. Toxic remains. One breath of this rot is a death sentence. It's a slow poison, calculated to cause lingering agony. A master of corpse poison, my soul shudders. Timed with the drought, a perfect plan for genocide. I clutch my staff in rage. Suddenly, a sound. Heavy footsteps. We spin around, hearts pounding in shock. It's 𝑦𝒌𝒊𝒆𝒅, knife in hand, glaring with murderous fury. You bastards! How dare you trample the medicinal garden I spent years nurturing? Hong Keen roared with pure fury. Votan stared in shock at the old physician, his face twisting into a mask of righteous indignation. The traitor knew the corpse poison's horror well, preying on the village he was meant to save. He profited while the plague spread, a wolf in sheep's clothing with a heart blacker than night. A demon wearing a human face, he merely used kindness as a mask for his wicked soul. This gluttonous doctor drained the village's resources and now seeks to swallow 9 Moon Village in one blow. He brandished his blade while Votan gripped his wooden staff, teeth gritted in a deadly promise. Shaking with rage, he realized the depth of the betrayal. I must kill this monster right here. Hong Keen stepped forward, confronting the traitor. It was you. You spread the disease just to play savior. Exposed, the doctor didn't flinch. Instead, a savage, predatory grin slowly crept across his twisted face. I only played the saint to ensure I got the biggest share at the end, he sneered coldly. Your share, Hong Keen bellowed. Do you even realize how many innocent souls have perished because of you? Hong Keen hurled the severed goat head. It shattered upon impact, reflecting the elder's absolute lack of mercy. The doctor retreated warily, his cold eyes locked onto Hong Keen like a viper ready to strike. 2 armed thugs blocked the path. Why should I care? The doctor spat, further igniting their fury. You meddlesome brats just ruined my masterpiece, he hissed, pointing a menacing thumb at his own chest. You'll pay with your lives. Today or another day, it matters not. His eyes flashed with lethal intent. I plan to dump your corpses into that pit anyway, he mocked, eyeing the elder's simple wooden staff. Consider yourselves first in line, you filthy beggars. Hong Keen stood firm against the 2 hulking warriors. Hong Keen's face darkened with rage. He stomped the earth, his roar echoing like a mountain collapse. The thugs hesitated, their eyes widening as they noticed the 3 knots on Hong Keen's martial belt. Channeling his energy, he roared, You dare act out while a guardian of the beggar sect is present. The word guardian sent a shockwave through the thugs. They whipped around, staring at the doctor in panic. A guardian, the thug screamed. You said they were just weaklings. Why is a master here? The doctor stammered in confusion. Meanwhile, Hong Keen slammed his feet down, cracking the very ground. His grip tightened on the seasoned wood as the air around him began to hum with power. I'll count to 10. Only the traitorous doctor must die. No more village lives shall be lost today. Choose your path. Votan watched, heart racing, as the elder began his final grim countdown. The 𝒌𝒊𝒂𝒓𝒅 sect, Votan whispered. A single shout from the elder was enough to paralyze them. 𝒂𝒔 slipped behind him, whispering, Dr. Votan, you must flee this instant. Votan's eyes widened in confusion. What? Run, but why must I leave you both behind? I'll launch you across the stream. Run and don't look back. Warn the village of this betrayal. Power exploded from Hong Keen. 2, 𝒂𝒔 pleaded. I'm entrusting you with this burden. Please help. Votan turned back, staring at 𝒂𝒔 with eyes full of confusion and growing dread. But you're a branch leader and a guardian. Supreme Realm warriors should handle this easily, right? He watched the elder's movements closely, the chilling realization finally dawning on him. It was all a bluff. 𝒂𝒔 glared as the traitor sneered. They're just 2 old beggars. Kill them now or never. Are you truly ready to face the world's wrath? Hong Keen's voice dropped to a terrifying low. Memories flashed through Votan's mind. He realized the elder had already resolved to die in battle. Why? He's just a frail beggar. Why go this far? Can't we all just escape together? The twisted doctor was a true supreme master. Hong Keen continued his steady, grim count. 5. 𝒂𝒔 hoisted Votan up. We can't protect you and fight him. Go and save the village. Votan listened in silence. Please, work with that strange physician to keep our village safe. He remembered training under the elder as a child, a simpler time before this dark destiny unfolded. We've begged our whole lives, but we have no shame. The villagers fed us, we'll protect them. Memories of Hong Keen's teaching flashback. Warriors must fight for the people. The thugs close in as their leader snarls, demanding blood to settle debts. Two goons lunge forward, their blades gleaming with murderous intent. With a desperate cry, 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒂𝒔 heaves Votan into the air. As enemies swarm, 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒔 hurls Votan towards safety behind them. Catching his breath, Votan watches the chaos from a distance, paralyzed. Should he flee? His mentors are surrounded by ruthless killers. Sensing a spark of hope, 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒔 and Hong Keen charge together. Seeing their unbreakable spirit, Votan realizes victory might be possible. A swordsman lunges at Votan, his blade whistling through the air. Before the strike lands, 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒔 tackles the thug, saving his friend. Votan scrambles away, vanishing into the dense, dark thicket alone. Seeing his friend escape, 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒔 smiles amidst the brutal struggle. He tells himself it's for the village, yet his heart sinks. Visions of his fallen brothers haunt his frantic, cowardly flight. Self-loathing strikes. He is nothing but a coward leaving them to die. He collapses under the moonlight, gasping for air in the shadows. If only he were a supreme master, he wouldn't be running. Lai Trung's silhouette appears in his mind as sweat pours down. In the darkness, the faces of his comrades call out to him. They aren't legends, yet they stayed. Votan sinks into despair. His legs tremble, then freeze. A new fire ignites in his eyes. He turns back, sprinting with every ounce of strength he has. Breathless and determined, he races toward the distant sounds of war. He recalls a childhood moment of standing up to a bully. The pride of justice felt better than the pain of the beating. Cowardly thoughts still linger, wishing the battle would just end. The sounds of clashing steel pull him back to the grim reality. If he flees now, he will be a fugitive of fate forever. He halts, lungs burning as he reaches the edge of the clearing. His friends are battered, clinging to their weapons with bloody grips. Hiding in the brush, Votan watches the desperate, final standoff. They are dying. How can a weakling like him change anything? 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒔 glares at his pursuer, refusing to yield even an inch. The thug sneers, bringing his sword down in a crushing arc. Wood meets steel. 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒔 deflects the blow with pure instinct. The assault is relentless, forcing 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒔 into a desperate defense. He narrowly dodges a lethal strike, sweat stinging his tired eyes. The enemy prepares a final, devastating blow against the poor beggar. The blade dances, mocking 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒔's frantic attempts to survive. Blood sprays as the sword grazes him, yet he stands firm. Hong Keen cries out in horror as his friend is cornered. Stand up, he bellows, even as an axe swings toward him. He barely evades the strike, his own life hanging by a thread. Backing away, Hong Keen prepares for one last, legendary stand. The bandaged thugs spat in disgust, mocking their futile struggle against fate. Exhausted and gasping for air, Hong Keen's eyes burned with unwavering defiance. I would rather rot in a pile of corpses than live like a piece of trash like you. He gestured mockingly toward 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒔 before pointing his lethal axe directly at Hong Keen's throat. Your deaths were written in the stars long ago. Just give up already, old man. Seeing the master slumped on the ground, the thug laughed, savoring his supposed victory. What is wrong? Do you really want to watch your precious disciple get butchered for fertilizer? How shameful. Hong Keen glanced at the fallen staff behind him, then back at his executioner. Nearby, 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒔 was barely parrying the enemy's relentless strikes. Clenching his fists, Hong Keen forced his shattered body to stand. Give up. With a roar, he lunged for the weapon. Never! The thug's eyes widened as he raised his heavy axe to intercept the old master's charge. He swung with lethal intent, aiming for a finishing blow. Die! He pursued Hong Keen like a rabid beast, screaming in fury. Go to hell! The master spun around, tracking every movement of the deadly blade with cold precision. 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒄 twisted his body, narrowly dodging a lethal slash from the top-knotted swordsman. His eyes flickered toward Hong Qin, who was desperately grabbing a handful of dirt. Seizing the moment, 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒄 delivered a crushing kick. Sweat poured down Hong Qin's face, his gaze sharpened by a terrifying, newfound determination. A fleeting memory surfaced. A younger 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒄 sitting beside him, watching a peaceful sunset years ago. Grabbing a fistful of sand, Hong Qin spun and hurled it into his enemy's eyes. "What?" Before he could react, the master tackled him. The thug growled, raising his axe high for a final strike. "Fine. If you are so eager to die, I will send you there myself." Hearing Hong Qin's desperate cry, 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒄 turned in pure horror, his heart stopping mid-beat. Time slowed as the cold steel pierced Hong Qin's back, a crimson spray painting the battlefield red. The master held on with a death grip, refusing to let go. As the axe was ripped out, a scream of agony tore through the air. Gritting his teeth, the thug lost all reason, repeatedly stabbing the master's back in a frenzied rage. "Damn you, let go of me," Hong Qin gasped, using his final breath to signal his student. "Chu San, now." Blood spilled from his lips as he called for the finishing blow. Understanding the sacrifice, 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒄 launched his weapon like a spear. With his last ounce of strength, Hong Qin pinned the villain down. The other swordsman immediately gave chase, sensing the danger. His blade lunged for 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒄's throat, but suddenly, a stone struck him squarely in the face. From the shadows, Vo-Tan stood ready, another heavy rock in his hand. The swordsman collapsed, his face bruised and swollen, cursing under his breath. "You cursed medic!" 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒄 seized the opening, delivering a devastating, fatal strike to the bandaged thug's skull. The heavy atmosphere grew suffocatingly still. Finally, both Hong Qin and his enemy collapsed into the dirt, lifelessly. Vo-Tan looked at 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒄, who was leaning heavily on his staff. He wanted to offer comfort, but the words would not come. The top-knotted thug snarled, turning his blade toward the pathetic medic, who dared interfere. "If you escaped, you should have stayed hidden. Are you that desperate to join them in hell?" He charged toward Vo-Tan with murderous speed. "I will carve you into 1,000 pieces." As the blade descended, Vo-Tan braced for the end. Suddenly, the legendary Lai Trung appeared, blocking the strike with ease. He turned to the trembling youth. "Did you really travel this far just to find a cure?" Vo-Tan gasped, "The elder from the forest." Meanwhile, 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒄 cradled Hong Qin's body, his tears falling onto the blood-stained earth. Lai Trung watched the tragic scene in silence, his sharp eyes piecing together the grim reality of the situation. "So these scumbags are the ones behind the plague?" he asked. Vo-Tan immediately shook his head in disagreement. "No," Vo-Tan pointed toward the clinic, his voice trembling with rage. "It is the physician Deem. He is the mastermind." Suddenly, Lai Trung vanished, reappearing behind the doctor. "Is that so?" With a cold glare, he threw the terrified medic to the ground like a piece of trash. Lai Trung's eyes blazed with fury as he stared down the coward. "You created this nightmare. Answer me. Why?" Vo-Tan spat out the truth through gritted teeth. "Why else? He spread death across the land just to fill his pockets with gold." The doctor curled into a ball, shielding his head from the looming shadow and begging for mercy. Lai Trung stepped forward, pushing Vo-Tan back as he sensed a deeper conspiracy. "The plague was just the beginning, was it not?" "What is your true goal here?" Lai Trung demanded. The medic fell to his knees, trembling as he tried to bargain for his life. You seem to know too much. Please spare me. I will tell you everything if you just let me live." "I'll offer a legendary elixir, far surpassing anything in this village." He trembled violently, his voice cracking. "Have you ever heard of the lethal black sparrow herb?" His eyes were wide, filled with a sudden and overwhelming sense of pure dread. A dark flower bloomed, a demonic herb that thrives by absorbing the negative energy of this chaotic world. While slightly below ancient snow ginseng, its fame is legendary. These cursed blossoms only bloom upon the withered corpses of fallen heroes. 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 gestured desperately toward the distance. Please, take it in exchange for my pathetic life. Tension gripped the air as he pointed toward a cave glowing with an eerie, purple light. A radiant violet blossom suddenly appeared before Vo-Tan and Lee Trung's disbelieving eyes. The legendary Black Sparrow, Vo-Tan roared, closing in on the doctor with a lethal fist. You're trading it for your life now, yet you caused all this bloodshed. What was the point? Lee Trung gripped his shoulder, sensing the trap. This isn't a trade for his life at all. The doctor flinched, his dark secret finally dragged into the light by the master's sharp intuition. You knew touching the Black Sparrow drains a normal person's life force instantly. You plan to use that trap to kill us. This herb is a parasite of death. You gathered those corpses just to feed its growth. The villagers were meant to be fertilizer. We were supposed to be its next meal. You're just stalling, weaving another web of poison and lies while we stand here. Perhaps you'd poison us during the refinement. 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 slammed his head down in frantic denial. No, it's just difficult to process. I truly intended to refine it for your lordship. Lee Trung's eyes turned cold and sharp as he smirked. Is that really the truth? Impressive knowledge for a mere mountain doctor. The quack could only offer a forced, terrified smile. He reached for the violet flower casually. But what a pity for you. I am no ordinary man. Sweat poured down the doctor's face as his heart nearly stopped. What, if you touch it barehanded? Lee Trung's blade cut through the air mid-sentence. The quack's head hit the cold earth before his warning could even finish. Lee Trung stared at the flower, his voice echoing with absolute authority. My fate is mine alone. Why do these trash doctors keep appearing in my path? His voice dripped with pure disdain. Learning a few tricks doesn't make you a healer. You're all just human filth. Vo-Tan stepped forward cautiously. Old master, are you all right? Lee Trung snorted with cold pride. All right. Do you think I earned my legendary title through a game of dice? Step back. I'm going to devour the poison from these corpses and this herb now. Vo-Tan obeyed, though his eyes remained fixed on the mysterious old master's back. Lee Trung sat, beginning his cultivation. Vo-Tan watched, breathless with pure anticipation. Massive energy swirled around Lee Trung. Vo-Tan felt the earth tremble beneath his feet. Purple toxic mist was being sucked in rapidly. The air itself seemed to be screaming. Vo-Tan gasped. The poison was being consumed, and Lee Trung's power was exploding. He shielded his eyes. This pressure, the poison's intensity, is absolutely terrifying. Violent currents of death wrapped around the master, draining the monster's corpse completely dry. Even from a distance, Vo-Tan could feel the overwhelming, godlike weight of the master's aura. After what felt like an eternity, the mist cleared. Lee Trung sat there, perfectly composed. Is it over? Vo-Tan whispered, frozen until the master's voice shattered the silence. Did you see that? This is how you truly manipulate your energy. Here, take it. Vo-Tan accepted the gift with a deep, respectful bow. Thank you, master. The toxins are gone. I've refined this herb into pure power. Use it well. Vo-Tan could only nod, his heart racing. Your strength is truly beyond comprehension. You exposed that quack scheme. You've earned this. Vo-Tan froze. I earned it. Lee Trung simply smirked, eyes gleaming. The poison was enough for me. Vo-Tan fell silent. Vo-Tan hesitated, glancing back at the trembling cat Joy. After a moment of heavy reflection, he handed back the precious gift. I'm not worthy, he confessed, guilt weighing on his voice. I fled in terror and only returned to throw a single stone. He came back only to escape the label of a coward. Yet, Lee Trung showed no sign of anger. Worthiness, you say? The old master pointed toward someone behind him. It turned out the one Lee Trung was truly watching was Cat Joy. Why does he look at you as if you are worthy then? Lee Trung smiled. Returning to face your fear is far harder than never running. Only by embracing your duty and admitting your flaws can you truly outrun your past. A true coward is one who stays running. He turned to leave, but paused. You can run 1,000 times. Just ensure you return to your post. In the end, never turn your back on your destiny. Wotan's eyes widened as the weight of the lesson sank in. The spiritual flower remained still, clutched firmly in his hand. Li Trung sighed, feeling weary. Have I poured too much worldly wisdom into that thick skull of yours? Too deep for you, I suppose. Suddenly, a coughing fit caught his attention. Wait, did you just swallow that? Wotan nodded honestly. Yes, Li Trung gasped in horror. Why on earth would you eat it now? Confused, the boy blinked. Is something wrong? Didn't you tell me to consume it immediately? He insisted innocently. You said there were no side effects. Moments later, his agonizing scream pierced through the high heavens. His cries for mercy went unanswered. Li Trung groaned. Good heavens! Swallowing divine medicine without a cultivation technique. Were you afraid someone would steal it? Now, Wotan could only endure the agony as his entire body convulsed uncontrollably. You didn't say anything else. I thought I had too. The master's teeth gritted in pure frustration. Did you forget everything I taught you about the black tortoise divine art? Stand firm, breathe, and circulate your energy. Caught in a whirlwind of pain, Wotan panicked. How, please? Tell me one more time. Li Trung was speechless at his student's sudden stupidity. As they traveled, he patiently broke down the technique once more. Guide your internal force through the spleen meridian. Every step must be deliberate. Let your feet fully grip the earth. Harmonize the breath from your core with your lungs. Align the 3 vital points along your spine into a single axis. Those points are the foundation of the black tortoise art. Everything else flows from them. Use that axis to anchor the medicine's chaotic power. Slowly, I said. Wotan nodded confidently. I've got it. I'm doing it right, I think. Don't talk back, focus, Li Trung snapped. Wotan's body began to warp. Sweat poured like a river as his legs wobbled toward collapse. Finally, a long, blissful sigh escaped Wotan's lips, instantly catching the old master's sharp gaze. His steps were transformed, now heavy and unshakable. Brimming with newfound vigor, he marched forward with burning determination. Li Trung watched with a satisfied smirk. He'll stabilize his internal aura before we even reach the village, he mused. If nurtured well, his potential was limitless. Wotan was still adjusting to the sheer power coursing through his new self. But the boy's next boast made Li Trung's face darken instantly. Is this the terrifying might of the Black Star medicine? Quiet, the master roared. You've barely tasted the apple's skin. Do you think cultivation is that easy? Mastering its full power takes a lifetime. Practice the divine art whenever you're idle. Wotan turned pale with fear. Understood. Seeing his renewed strength, Li Trung commanded, You're fit enough. Carry one of the wounded. Suddenly, Wotan's vigor vanished. Actually, my stomach is killing me, he groaned as they walked ahead, leaving 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒏𝒆𝒅 trailing behind. Upon reaching the destination, the villagers stared in shock. Wotan stepped forward as their messenger of hope. He gestured toward 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒏𝒆𝒅. The plague is broken. Drink this medicine, and you'll all be walking again within 3 days. The great heroes have eliminated the mastermind. The crowd erupted into thunderous applause, cheering for their salvation. Amidst the joy, 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒏𝒆𝒅's expression remained as dark as coal. The villagers swarmed Li Trung and Wotan in celebration. However, the old master's keen eyes noticed something amiss. He turned his gaze back toward the shadows. 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒏𝒆𝒅 offered a silent, humble bow. Under the golden sun, the villagers laughed and cheered, but not a single soul looked his way. In silence, 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒏𝒆𝒅 turned away, a lonely shadow retreating from the light. He paused for a heartbeat, looking at the fallen bodies, then vanished into the sunset. The mountains glowed orange as the day drew to a close. Time flowed like a river, and a new dawn broke over their humble, familiar rooftop. Early that morning, Wotan gripped a makeshift wooden branch. Every swing was precise, his focus sharper than any blade. He looked up at the swaying trees, lost in thought. How did that old man make it look so easy? A heavy boot struck him while he was distracted. Li Zhang kicked his disciple down without mercy. Keep the medicine clean. Do you truly wish to learn my divine sword art or not? Pack your things, we depart now. Wotan blinked in shock. But what about the patients? He had hoped to play the hero for 5 more days and charm the local beauties. Li Zhang's icy glare snapped the young man back to his harsh reality instantly. We only stopped at this village because that beggar, Hong Cat Ki, requested it. Votan froze. Wait, master, have you seen where he went since last night? Burying the old man, likely, or perhaps dying of hunger in some godforsaken ditch. Votan's heart sank. Starving, but he is the hero who saved this entire village. He recalled the bloody battle. To a beggar who has killed, the world is unforgiving. A beggar who slays a martial master is no longer a beggar. He becomes a target. Votan's spirit darkened. So, what will become of him now, master? That is for his own destiny to decide, Li Zhang sighed, glancing at the clouds. Death changes everything. As they departed, the entire village gathered to say their final goodbyes. With a lingering look, Votan followed his master back onto the lonely mountain trail. Days passed in a blur of footsteps. Neither traveler spoke a single word to the other. Suddenly, Votan's eyes widened. Before them lay a desolate, fog-shrouded graveyard. There, Li Zhang pointed toward a humble grave marked by 2 simple wooden stakes. They bowed in solemn silence to the departed. Yet, something about the master felt different. A strange, heavy aura radiated from Li Zhang. The entire forest fell deathly still. Cat Jioi appeared from the shadows, bowing low. Master, thank you. May your journey be safe. Votan rushed over. You've been here all night. Have you even eaten a morsel? He pressed rations into the beggar's hand. Eat. Tell me, will you stay in this village? Cat Jioi nodded slowly. I have lived here my whole life. I have nowhere else. He forced a bittersweet smile. Survival is the only thing a beggar truly knows. The path of a killer is lonely, the master muttered. Come with us instead. Cat Jioi blinked in disbelief. Where? Votan grabbed his hand with a bright grin. To a place where you can live without fear. The old man would want this. Right, master. Votan turned back, looking for his mentor's approval and guidance. But Li Zhang had already vanished. Votan wasted no time dragging Cat Jioi along. They sprinted to catch up, breathless. Master, why do you always leave us behind? Panting but happy, the trio walked together. A new comrade had joined their legendary journey. Master, since I'm mastering the black tortoise art, teach me some real swordplay now. Li Zhang's eyes sparked with excitement. I've been waiting for you to ask that. But where are we heading? Cat Jioi asked. Ah, a genius, the master laughed. This brat never bothered to ask. It is the most vital question of all. Just tell us the destination, Votan yelled. The grave marker read, the great hero. Luyang, Li Zhang declared as they plunged into the vast, ancient wilderness. The heart-piercing strike may look simple, but it is the absolute essence of killing. He demonstrated the divine forms, the gale, the spring vine, and the killing point. Both disciples watched with burning intensity, mimicking every lethal movement of the master. A terrifying surge of raw energy erupted from his strike. Well, can you do it? They stared in pure horror. That is impossible. Are you trying to kill us? Votan stepped forward, fuming. How can a mere human achieve such destructive power? I've trained you for a month. If you can't cut a tree, you're useless. That's the stance, brat. The world seemed to fall silent during their intense confrontation. Like this, do it exactly like this. Hours passed, yet their grueling training showed no end. Li Chung barked, Chu-san, your turn, as the old man chimed in with more advice. He mirrored the master perfectly. Watching his flawless execution, the master finally nodded with deep satisfaction. Exactly, that's the form. The other student copied him confidently, claiming they looked exactly the same. But Li Chung wasn't finished. Again, keep your back straight and watch your footing, you fool. Chu-san studied every move intently. The banter never ceased, with warnings about greed leading to hell. Ignoring the noise, Li Chung focused entirely on correcting the boy's posture and arched spine. Stay straight. Learn respect for your elders unless you want a trip to the frozen underworld. Their days were a cycle of agony. Morning staff practice followed by using mystical footwork until nightfall. At sunset, they dueled. 30 battles, 30 losses. Hong Chu-san remained a wall of absolute defeat. A faint, mysterious smirk suddenly played on 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒏𝒆𝒅's lips. Their bond was a storm of insults. At this rate, I'll stop respecting you and just attack. You think you can actually strike me? It was strange. Beneath the vitriol lay a deep bond. Li Chung poured his heart into every lesson, guiding the boy's path with unrelenting focus. One moment masters, the next bickering kin. Why are your hands shaking so much? He knew them well. Behind the playfulness lay a foundation of profound respect. Their eyes burned with a terrifying, otherworldly resolve. Though they fought every few seconds, the warmth between them left 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒏𝒆𝒅 in total awe. When will you ever beat Chu-san? Today is the day. That's a dream, kid. I once had a master like that. Seeing them so happy brought a sense of peace. Ancient memories resurfaced. After the exhausting drills, the sun dipped low. Time for the final meal, master. See how polite he is. Yes, please eat well to maintain your legendary strength, great master. Rain began to lash against the city walls. 𝒌𝒊𝒏𝒆𝒅 bowed, his heart heavy with immense gratitude. I have received such great help. Li Chung nodded solemnly. Fate will bring us together again. Discard your name if you stay in Chongqing. Knowledge of Chu village will only bring you trouble. Regardless of the reason, you've taken a life. He accepted the harsh truth with a silent nod. He turned and vanished into the rain. Even from afar, he kept waving, unable to say goodbye. Finally, his silhouette was swallowed by the crowd seeking shelter from the heavy, relentless downpour. Gloom settled over the young disciple. Li Chung saw right through him. Feeling lonely now, aren't you? He was my first real friend, he confessed. The master didn't miss the chance to tease him. Ah, the friend who beat you in every single duel. Truly a tragic loss for you. It's infuriating. You might never taste victory against him in your entire pathetic lifetime. I almost had him. By the time he yelled, the master was gone. He scrambled to follow. Wait, where are we going? Li Chung didn't look back. Shut up and follow me, kid. They stopped at a city forge. The blacksmith looked up. You want to borrow my hearth? Why? The master sneered at the smith. You aren't even worthy to witness a legend like him work. You're getting a front row seat to see the world's greatest smith forge destiny. How about that? The disciple sweated nervously. Who would agree to that? The smith fell into a heavy silence. Surprisingly, the man relented. Fine, do it. The disciple stood stunned. How did that actually work? Li Chung shoved him inside the glowing, heat-filled chamber with a wide, mischievous grin. Give me your best coal and steel, and while I'm at it, I'll fix your rusty sickle. The master agreed instantly. The boy grumbled while stoking the fire. First training, now I'm a slave. Enough whining, start with the sickle, Li Chung commanded, a cunning glint flashing in his eyes. From the start, his medical and martial lessons had a price, and it wasn't paid in gold. Did you really think your education was free, brat? Votan panicked, his heart racing. I've never forged a blade. Yet the chimney erupted in divine flames. The master smith watched in disbelief. That forge has been cold for days. The fear of the fire god faded. Clang, the rhythmic song of the hammer began. The old man sipped tea as rain fell. The strikes rang out like precious jade. A natural-born monster, he whispered. Memories of his own youth flooded back. He bowed his head, lost in nostalgia. He received the finished blade and froze, an exquisite sickle. He couldn't believe his own eyes. Votan offered it with trembling hands. Is this okay? Is it worth even a copper? The master's hands shook with excitement. He gripped the steel with sudden ferocity. He tested the balance in silence. Votan was baffled by the sudden change. A perfect arc cut through the air. The old smith's eyes turned cold and sharp. With one move, the old table was shredded. He moved like a man possessed by the blade. Votan realized the truth. Is he a hidden master? Suddenly, the old man vanished. Wait, Master Fong, where are you going? Lai Trung remained eerily calm. Prepare the anvil, they are coming for you. Actually, they are already here. Shadows loomed behind the confused 𝒊𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅. He trembled under their hungry gazes. The master raised the sickle high. "Young man, how did you forge such a masterpiece?" They drew their weapons, salivating, desperate to possess his legendary craftsmanship. Chongqing's elite were shaken to the core. One even brought raw timber to test. The master smith could no longer hide his joy. It cut steel like tofu. The mob surged forward like a starving tide. "Teach us your secrets, forge for us anything." "A sword, start with a sword. No, my axe takes priority." 𝒊𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅 broke into a cold sweat. Lai Trung only flashed a wicked smirk. The crowd recoiled as Lai Trung stepped forward. He held out his hand greedily. "Entrance fee, 2 silver taels." The crowd fell silent. 2 taels for a divine blade. Pay up or get out. Elsewhere, Cat Joy walked a lonely road, a solitary figure lost in the dust. My master's hometown. It was exactly as the legends told. He searched for the old mulberry fields. A sad smile touched his lips in the rain. He gripped his master's rope tightly, his heart filled with a burning resolve. I must find his old allies. His decision was finally made. Through the downpour, he sought the truth. "I've heard the dark rumors." The sect leader smiled, hiding his venom. "Beggars are always welcome here." Cat Joy bowed, then his gaze turned to ice. He saw through the fake kindness. He stood alone in the heavy rain. The beggars have lost their way. 20 years have passed, and his legacy is forgotten. This was not the sect his master loved. The leader was a greedy snake. An entry fee for beggars. The corruption is absolute. He grit his teeth in pure rage. Even the poor are exploited by these vultures. He walked on, a ghost in the storm. No one remembered his master's name. "Do you know the chicken demon?" Every door was slammed in his face. 2 decades had buried every single trace. He stopped at the foot of the bridge. They know nothing of the truth. He wandered off alone, clutching the token. Did no one truly know the secret? A beggar rushed past, seeking shelter. Cold to the bone, caught 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔, risked one final shot. His voice lacked hope as he called out. The old man paused, tilting his head curiously. With a desperate smile, he asked, "Do you know the one called 𝒊𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅?" A master from 20 years ago. The old man's eyes narrowed. 𝒊𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅, you say? Caught 𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍� jumped in excitement. "Yes, that's him." The old beggar stepped back, suddenly cautious. "The clean beggar from the fields." Caught 𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍� nodded, but a shocking truth awaited him. "You've got it wrong. 𝒊𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅 was just a bottom tier, one-knot beggar." Rain fell as caught 𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍�'s heart sank. A master. He never even reached 3 knots. Rank 3 requires martial power, but he was slow and lacked any true master. "He just loitered in fields," the beggar said. "Others sought him years ago, too." He allegedly stole a royal treasure and vanished. Trouble always followed that man. Grandma Long might know more. "Want to ask?" But caught 𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍� had already bolted. The old man gasped as caught 𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍� vanished. Thunder shook the heavens above. Tears streaming, he gripped the token. "Damn it!" He ignored the raging river nearby. Hands trembling, he clawed at the knots. "You bastard! You're dead to me, beggar." Hunger is rank 1, recovery is rank 2. He hurled the token to the earth. Age 15 meant rank 3. He realized the secret techniques were all a farce. "Liar!" he screamed with every ounce of strength. Lightning crashed as his world shattered. Reckless with rage, he swung his arm to cast the cursed cord into the abyss. But facing the torrent, he froze. He couldn't do it. He collapsed in utter defeat. He curled up, sobbing. Divine weapons, guardians, it was all just digging in dirt. "Damn it!" He plunged his fist into the water, veins bulging before finally losing strength. Torn by agony, he gritted his teeth. 2 trails of tears marked his resolve. Finally, his fingers loosened. Amidst the storm, he cast away his painful past forever. The storm passed. Inside the boundless dojo, sweat dripped. "That's enough for today." Disciples groaned in disappointment. "Already?" The elder stepped in. Let the master rest. They relented. Just one thing, elder. Controlling the inner fire is still so difficult. The great hero has left. Stop whining. He tried to speak but was silenced. He looked up, eyes wide. 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍𝒔 had returned, looking like a ghost of himself. Chu-san was quickly ushered inside. The truth about Ma-ta and care was finally revealed. 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍� sat beside him, awkward but concerned. Hey, have you even eaten yet? He shook his head. I'm fine. Little Thien shared her food with me. Eat this, you look starving. The kind little girl offered him a simple bun. He muttered, I wasn't going to eat, but a beggar's gift is hard to refuse. 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍𝒔 slapped his back, standing tall. You're stealing from kids now. You're no disciple. I didn't steal it. 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍� snapped back. 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍� just smiled. Let's move. 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍� looked confused. Where? 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍� grinned with a mischievous, high-energy spark. To wash off that beggar stench. That night, they entered a luxurious, moonlit tavern. A stunning performer graced the stage, her melody soothing the restless souls within. Surrounded by a feast and vibrant life, 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍� stood dazed until a shout rang out. Chu-san, 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍� cheered, pulling him close. Drink, empty every single cup. They downed their drinks and spat fire. The annoyed beauties frowned at the rowdy pair. Delicious, 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍� lied. 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍� laughed. Liar, you looked like you were dying. Did you think I earned my reputation through gambling? 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 laughed. You're insane. Better watch it or I'll discipline you. I'm not scared. Bring it. The master's away, so don't waste food or face my wrath. Two souls who knew nothing of fine wine kept drinking. Bottoms up, keep the alcohol flowing. While beauties sang and the crowd acted wild, Vo-tan stuffed his face, eyeing a new dumpling record. The feast finally ended, with 4 empty bottles of wine scattered across the table. Kat-jioi was stuffed to the brim. Vo-tan sat there, belly full, suddenly panicking about the massive bill. I'm just a beggar, I've never paid for anything. Vo-tan laughed. We pay with cold cash, you idiot. A beggar paying, he stared blankly. How much is it? I don't have a single coin, they both laughed. Still half drunk, the realization hit. You have no money either. We're both just beggars. He slammed the table, roaring. What? No money in a beggar-sect tavern? Vo-tan just gave a smug, arrogant smirk. So what? I am Lai Trung, one of the 3 legends. Kat-jioi trembled in fear. Stop joking, you fool. He smirked with supreme confidence. With my status, there's no need to worry. Then, in a blink, he vanished. Vo-tan reappeared behind the beauty, drawing a small blade from his sleeve. Time to settle the tab. With the crazed eyes of a drunkard, he stared at his blade, emitting a chilling, murderous aura. The lady froze in terror, unable to move. Vo-tan swung his blade down with ruthless, decisive speed. His movements were a lethal blur. Kat-jioi screamed in horror. Hey, what are you doing? Surprisingly, the crowd roared with excitement. Look at that drunken style. The waiter finally stepped in to intervene. Customer, the waiter shouted, pointing at Vo-tan's wild movements. What on earth are you doing? The shout broke his drunken haze. Vo-tan's gaze turned predatory and dangerous, making everyone's blood run cold. Guards, where are the guards? The waiter pleaded. Please, do something before he destroys everything. As Kat-jioi stood stunned, thugs charged forward. Who do you think you are, causing trouble here? Get down now. Even if you're drunk, show some respect. Upstairs, the nobles watched the chaos with amusement. This is better than any music, the guards bellowed. What are you trying to pull, brat? Vo-tan spun, swinging a wine bottle with violent grace. The crowd's faces turned pale with confusion. Suddenly, right before their eyes, an exquisitely carved masterpiece began to take shape. He sipped his wine nonchalantly. I'm just calculating the bill. Want me to stop? The guards backed away, terrified. No, the music stopped. He shifted the mood instantly. Keep playing, don't ruin the great hero's fun. The beauty resumed playing, trembling. Every guest froze, watching his every godlike movement. His blade danced with surgical precision along the wood. Wotan's eyes were locked in a trance of absolute focus. The tavern became a stage for a legendary performance. With one final, powerful strike, it was done. Wood chips exploded into the air, revealing a statue so beautiful it seemed to possess a soul. A masterpiece that would take masters weeks to create. This will be my payment for the wine today. Wotan recalled the old master's words. With your divine talent, the world will treat you like royalty. Today, those words became reality. The power of the thousand-hand Guanyin was truly a sight to behold. Tavern owners swarmed him, fighting for his favor. Great hero, please grace my tavern with your presence. Everyone cheered for the extraordinary man. Hail, great hero Duong, your skills are truly peerless. Wotan just smirked. It's just a doodle. The owner stood agape, a masterpiece created in mere minutes. Another day, a massive mountain of meat buns was delivered as a tribute to his legendary status. They took the feast and shared it with the starving beggars living under the bridge. He gently patted a young girl's head. Eat up, Tiu Thien. She beamed. Thank you, great hero Hong. Cat Joy laughed with pure joy. Wotan finally felt at peace. He had seen a truly genuine smile. The rain poured, but the sky brightened. Hey, are we heading to the tavern again today? My head. Let's take a break. I've lost track of how much wine we've down lately. You want to go? Cat Joy didn't move. No, just asking. This rain is coming down hard. He flopped back onto the bed, lazy and content. Suddenly, a voice from below shouted his name. They both looked down in surprise. Brother to Tam Ku. Cat Joy stood frozen in shock. Little Tian has vanished. Sanjiu's heart is consumed by a chilling dread. The timid boy never wanders off in this rain. The ruthless water pirates must have snatched him. Water pirates, are you certain? A grim nod follows as Sanjiu reveals the dark truth. They thought the river took them, but witnesses saw pirates dragging children into the shadows. His hands tremble with fury. Rumors say the wicked faction hunts children for blasphemous rituals. If little Tian is in their clutches, his fate is worse than death. Sanjiu is shattered. I'll handle this, our hero declares. I have a contact. Stay calm and wait for me. A glimmer of hope ignites. Thank you, great hero. May the heavens bless your soul. But the meeting is a cold reality check. I'll report it, but don't expect any miracles. Disbelief hits hard. The Beggars' Union, righteous heroes, refuse to move without evidence against the pirate scum. The Tower Master falters, masking his hesitation with hollow, scripted excuses. Their attitude has shifted. Is it because the victim is just a nameless brat? Rage boils within. You're an outsider, he scoffs. You don't understand the heavy burden we carry here. Every spring, as the monsoons lash Chongqing, the Beggars' Union faces a looming catastrophe. Look out there, he gestures. This year, the heavens have opened with unprecedented fury. If the rain persists, the Yangtze will burst, devouring homes and lives in its path. Death by the rising tide is inevitable. We must act now to mitigate the slaughter. Every disciple is fortifying the dams. No one is left to hunt pirates. The hero stands silenced. I'll still report it, he mutters, but Sanjiu erupts. You actually believe their pathetic lies. Trust those who view us as animals. How can you be so blind to their arrogance? He trembles with raw resentment. The dams protect the wealthy, while the poor are left to drown. Their walls are built for the lords, while we rot in the mud and rain. But they are martial artists, our hero stammers. Sanjiu's tears fall like the torrential rain. Pirates and demons are martial artists too. Chivalry is just a lie for the privileged elite. In 10 years, have the beggars ever bled for us? Would they die for a lowly beggar? They trade rags for silk, obsessed with their noble reputation while hiding their shameful cowardice. The old beggar's cryptic warnings echo in our heroes' mind like a recurring nightmare. It's all a lie, he grits his teeth. The debt must be paid in blood and steel. Cowardly beggars, I feel no pity for them. friends rush to restrain his exploding fury. Control yourself, Sanju. Hero Hong is the only one who actually gave us a voice. Hero Hong stands with us. We must trust the union and wait for their move. He opens his umbrella and walks away. His duty is finished. He's done enough for them. He laughs bitterly. Even his duty was nothing more than the hollow boast of a liar. A voice stops him cold. You there, are you the one searching for Ma Tone Ki? I am Granny Long. What business do you have with that snake, Tong Keen? Tong Keen, even his name was a fabrication. He struggles to contain his rising rage. Did he vanish with your treasures? Granny Long narrows her eyes in dark suspicion. No, she sighs. He wasn't the type to steal gold. He had no interest in things. He stole a human soul instead. The revelation strikes harder than the crashing thunder. He kidnapped someone, he gasps. The old woman's face looks like a withered map of sorrow. 20 years ago, a bloody civil war tore the Beggars' Union apart right here in Chongqing. Two legendary titans rose from the ashes, vying for the very soul of the underworld. The current vice leader, the red-faced ghost, led the secular faction with an iron, greedy fist. Opposing him was Liu Shan of the traditionalists, a war over purity that ended in carnage. Small grievances festered into a mountain of corpses. The cycle of eternal hatred had begun. The flames of war erupted, and her voice trembled with a haunting regret. She recalled the blood-soaked battlefield where Master Liu met his end. In that chaos, no soul could halt the vengeance. After the slaughter, the traditionalists were exiled. Madame Long's memory flickered to Hong Kaiyan fleeing with a small child. That fateful day, Gatgi remained silent as the beggar sect's shadow escaped with the son of the fallen master. Curiously, he asked about the man's true identity. What was the legendary master's real name? She answered instantly. Hung Trong. The name hung in the air, followed by a heavy silence before Madame Long turned to leave. You don't even know his name. I doubt you're the one truly searching for his bloodline. If that's the case, my knowledge ends here. I've told you everything I know about that mysterious beggar. Before vanishing, she left a message. If you find him, tell him to seek me in Chongqing. But all that remained before Madame Long was a lonely umbrella abandoned in the middle of the road. Murderous intent flared within Gatgi as he realized the truth. Everything, his name, his skills, was a deceptive lie. Tears blurred his vision as the weight of betrayal crushed his soul. Beside a crumbling dam, his world shattered. Driven by desperation, he plunged into the freezing river, digging through the silt as water blinded his frantic eyes. His fingers grew numb and rigid, yet he refused to stop, clawing at the riverbed with obsessive strength. Standing amidst the rushing currents, he finally grasped the mossy knots, the sacred knots that haunted his mind. Those knots, they were the key. Suddenly, the rhythm of the river shifted. Gatgi's silhouette vanished beneath the surface. He fought the violent current, gasping for air every few seconds. He dove deeper into the abyss, risking everything to find the hidden insignia of the mountain protector's sect. Tears mixed with the river water as he remembered his true burden. This was his sacred duty. A vision of being cradled by Hong Kaiyan flashed by. He was a mere infant, sleeping while destiny was forged. The old master had carried him toward a village, rushing him home through the shadows of the valley. Hong Kaiyan had raised him with tender care, from simple baths to shared laughter that echoed through the years. Memories of failed training and broken wooden swords surfaced. Now, only a blood-stained relic of a guardian remained. The image of Hong Kaiyan coughing up blood haunted him, his face twisted in a mask of agonizing pain. Deep underwater, Gatgi reached out for his master in a hollow cry. Then he saw the knotted rope. Without hesitation, he lunged for the cord, using every ounce of his strength to tear it free. His lungs burned as oxygen vanished. The world around him faded into a shimmering, deadly shade of blue. Just as darkness closed in, Votan grabbed him, dragging his half-conscious body back to the surface. They collapsed on the shore, gasping for breath. Yet, through his exhaustion, Votan began to shout. Are you insane? Do you want to ruin your clothes? who swims in this wretched weather?" 𝒂𝒔 didn't answer. Instead, he erupted into a fit of manic laughter that left Wotan completely baffled. The sun finally broke through the storm. Gripping the knotted rope tightly, 𝒂𝒔's gaze turned razor-sharp. "Wotan, help me just this once." The warrior scoffed. "I just saved your life. What more do you want?" A confident smirk played on 𝒂𝒔's lips. "Help me rescue Teuthine from those filthy water bandits." Wotan stared in disbelief. "Water bandits? Do you have anything to offer in return for such a request?" "Not a thing, but surely you can handle this." Cut to Wotan, his hand trembling on his sword hilt. Nearby, an eerie stillness hung over a humble thatched house nestled in the tall grass. Villagers were frantically piling sandbags against the rising flood. Meanwhile, Wotan's mouth moved faster than his courage. "Do you have a strategy?" When 𝒂𝒔 shook his head, Wotan's heart nearly stopped. "What?" "You aren't seriously planning to take them all on at once." 𝒂𝒔 simply grinned mischievously. "We just find the girl and slip out. First, we must pinpoint exactly where they're holding her." He gestured toward the distant buildings. "She's definitely being kept in one of those guarded structures." 𝒂𝒔 sighed as he scanned the perimeter. "We must sneak in. Sneak in. Look at your bright clothes." An idea struck Wotan. "They'll see you from a mile away. Let's smear ourselves with mud for camouflage." 𝒂𝒔 stared at his companion in utter shock. "Are you actually being serious right now?" "Think that'll make us look like pirates?" Infinite smirked with even more mischief. "Maybe I should go shirtless." His companion immediately hissed a curse. "Damn it, I'd rather be hauling mud at the dam." Suddenly, the heavy thud of approaching footsteps echoed. They dove behind a massive boulder to eavesdrop. "Patrolling in this miserable storm. This is absolute trash." "Think the manual labor at the levee is better. It beats the boss's constant screaming. Anything is better than the captain's face at the barricades." 𝒂𝒔's face drained of color as the situation turned south. Infinite shared the exact same dread. "We're finished." The two guards scanned the area, their boots crunching along the forest path. Infinite narrowed his eyes in suspicion. What kind of pirates have an organized patrol like this? Fighting them here would be a disaster. Infinite couldn't hide the trembling in his hands. Just wait. Let them pass. Reality hit hard as he huddled in the cramped hiding spot. His heart raced with anxiety. Wait. At this rate, they'll definitely spot us. Can we hide under the bridge? No, it's not big enough for both. A dull thud suddenly sounded near Infinite's ear. 𝒂𝒔 had already scrambled to a different hiding spot. He frantically signaled for Infinite to decipher. "I'll take the rock. You head to the other side." He finally felt a moment of relief. The heavy rain should mask most of our noise. In this crisis, he was surprisingly sharp. Large footsteps ascended the stone stairs with heavy thuds. The guards marched past Infinite's old hiding spot without a glance. They moved on quickly. 𝒂𝒔 flashed a thumbs up in success. Infinite signaled back immediately. Everything was going too smoothly. But suddenly, Infinite's vision blurred and his face broke into a cold sweat. "What?" Before he could react, 𝒂𝒔 lunged out and swung his blade. Infinite watched in horror as the fight broke out. 𝒂𝒔 was already gasping for air after the clash. A momentary lapse allowed two massive figures to block his path. "What?" He was frozen, unable to move. Infinite's heart dropped, his face turning as pale as a ghost. The strike failed, ruining the entire plan. "Who do you think you are, blocking the path of your superiors?" "Want your head pierced?" 𝒂𝒔 stood dazed, unable to form a single coherent word. Shadows moved fast behind him. "Wake up and stand, you idiot!" Infinite screamed internally in desperation. That reckless move ignited the guard's rage. So there's another brat hiding in the shadows. Arrogant little pests. The two sides closed in without another word. "You're both still far too green." He swung his sword with a savage roar. "I'll slaughter you all." Infinite finally felt it, a terrifying, overwhelming aura. It felt like staring straight into a bottomless abyss. Infinite's eyes widened, but he refused to retreat. Suddenly, Master Li's face flashed in his mind. Horizontal cleave. The dream training finally showed him the way. The horizontal cleave, a single perfect arc of destruction. His eyes locked onto the giant. He ducked low into the chilling gap of the wide swing. The guard's eyes widened in shock at the maneuver. Infinite counterattacked instantly, 3 feints followed by a sharp, vertical strike. The blade pierced through the guard's chest, a direct strike through the heart. The other guard roared in a murderous fury. "I'll kill you." Infinite gritted his teeth, praying for success. "Please work according to plan." He repeated the technique. First, the feint. The blade gleamed with lethal precision. The guard's helmet shattered instantly. Even Infinite couldn't believe his own newfound power. Before the guard collapsed, he gasped in awe. A true master. Moments later, 𝒂𝒔 finally spoke up. "Your face is covered in red. You've got blood on you." Infinite wiped it away casually. Thanks." They began prowling the abandoned houses. Since the pirates were away at the dam, they had to search every building. Did they all leave at once? Infinite nodded, his mind lingering on the bloodstain on his sleeve. 𝒂𝒔 slapped his shoulder and urged him on. "Focus, idiot. You call this an infiltration. If I hadn't showed up, you'd be dead." He wouldn't stop nagging about the close call. "You don't even know the meaning of stealth. If you wanted to sneak in, you should have just stayed quiet." That shut 𝒂𝒔 up instantly. He quickly tried to save face by deflecting. "It's your fault for failing to read my hand signals." Endless wasn't backing down. "Don't try to change the subject." Cornered, 𝒂𝒊𝒻 could only grumble. "Shut it, we're going in quiet." As the first gate opened, he hissed, "Stay silent and no more shouting skill names." Peeking inside, they found only clutter. Naturally, the bickering resumed instantly. "Shouting moves is tradition," Endless snapped, recalling how their stealth was ruined. "You idiot, only a master like me could pull that off. Got it?" Endless scoffed at the claim. "A master, you, give me a break." "Your hands were shaking earlier," he hissed, pointing toward the final hideout. They reached the final building, still unable to silence their petty whispers. "The master who lost for a month. Hush, we're infiltrating now." Overconfident, he wagered 5 silver that the room was completely empty. "You're too poor to bet," he mocked, leaving 𝒂𝒊𝒻 sighing in self-pity. "Do you even have a conscience?" Votan pushed the door open with a smirk. "See, told you." But his words froze as 2 thugs stared back with lethal intent. Panic flared as the door slammed shut. The trap was finally set. Muffled sounds of a brutal struggle echoed from within the small shack. Soon, the thugs were bound like livestock, weapons pointed at their throats. 𝒂𝒊𝒻 growled, "Where's the little girl you kidnapped?" "The beggar girl. Talk now before I carve a hole in you." Deathly silence followed. Then, the thug 𝒍𝒔 laughed with chilling arrogance. "You know the streets, but you don't know real terror yet, kid." The thug's arrogance grew. "To scare 𝒍𝒔, who's killed 10 men. You'll need something far worse than any official's torture rack." Votan grit his teeth. His blade alone wasn't enough. What now? "He only fears the official's torture." A whisper changed the entire game. A different way. Votan's mind raced as a dark plan formed. Endless turned away, rummaging through his gear for a secret, hidden weapon. Curious, 𝒂𝒊𝒻 watched as he pulled out a mysterious medicinal box. Votan stared at the pills, a grim determination in his eyes. "Wolf's aconite, a lethal toxin when mixed right. This will be excruciating." He collected rainwater, forced to become a monster to find the truth. "Please let this work. Let him taste true primal despair," he prayed. 𝒍𝒔 watched, confused by the boy's frantic and strange preparations. "What are you doing?" Votan replied with the cold gleam of a needle. 𝒍𝒔 paled instantly. Votan forced a twisted, demonic grin. "Since you love torture, let's see how you handle my special blend. Every vein in your body will burst. It's a slow, agonizing death." That's exactly how the last patrolman died. It was horrific. He moved the needle closer. "Ready to start talking to me yet?" "Liar, a swordsman knows nothing of poisons." The thug spat defiantly. Votan's heart hammered. If the dosage failed, they were both dead. Without hesitation, he drove the sharp needle deep into the thug's chest. Sang-Tai braced himself, laughing. "Is that all? I feel nothing." Suddenly, blood erupted from his mouth as his eyes rolled back. Terror. The captain stared at the charred remains, his face draining of color. He hadn't expected such devastation. Sang's eyes bled into abyssal darkness. His pupils vanished as a terrifying, shadowy aura erupted from his soul. His needle-wielding hands trembled uncontrollably. Even the stoic Vo-Tan felt a cold shiver of pure terror. No time for thought. Before the enemy could blink, his hand clamped around the man's throat like a vice. Vo-Tan's gaze was lethal. "Speak the truth," he growled, "unless you're eager to taste death right now." Shaken by the madness in those eyes, the thug pointed toward a glowing cavern hidden beneath the rain. In the cave, they're inside. Golden torchlight flickered ominously from the depths of the mountain's maw. Two shadows breached the entrance. Gripping a torch, Vo-Tan plunged into the dark to shield Chu-San. To save Tiu-Thien, a healer must become a butcher. I've taken lives, once by choice, once by fate. They were walking straight into a deadly trap. Was this truly just a twist of cruel fate? Kat-Jioi hesitated, his voice trembling with doubt. Could a man with such scars truly be innocent of blood? Vo-Tan's expression darkened. Those who boast of their sins deserve nothing but a swift, cold execution. The weight of those words shook Kat-Jioi. Even if it was accidental, there was no room for regret. "Move faster. We find Tiu-Thien now." The relentless rain only fueled his growing, icy irritation. Kat-Jioi followed in silence, a knot of guilt tightening in his chest. Was he making a terrible mistake? He kept moving. There was no turning back now, this burden. It was his and his alone to carry. Suddenly, the path split. Two gaping tunnels stood before them like the jaws of a beast, a crossroads. Both men froze. Every second wasted was a second lost. Which path leads to our salvation? One side reeked of death, the other was eerily silent. "Maybe we can slip past the guards unseen," he whispered. He hesitated, but before he could speak, Kat-Jioi's hand shot out, signaling for absolute silence. "Wait, someone's coming." Kat-Jioi pressed his ear to the cold stone, his eyes widening in sudden shock. Vo-Tan's heart hammered. "How many?" Kat-Jioi looked up, his face pale and his voice shaking with dread. "Every single one of them." As he spoke, shadows began to emerge from the flickering darkness ahead. Trapped, with nowhere to run, Vo-Tan cast aside his torch and drew his blade. "What now? We fight." His grip tightened on the hilt. If he was going down, he'd drag every last soul into hell with him. With a primal roar, he lunged. His blade sang through the air, cutting down the pirates one by one. His white eyes flashed with calculated fury. But wait, it was just a mental simulation. The flaws were too great. The flickering orange glow grew brighter. The enemy was closing in, and time was rapidly running out. In the blink of an eye, he visualized a different path, a more surgical, lethal approach to the slaughter. He wouldn't kill instantly. He'd maim them, crippling their movement before picking them off like cattle in a pen. He harvested their lives piece by piece, yet the sheer numbers were overwhelming. He was being pushed back. In his mind, blades pierced his flesh. Surrounded, it was a death sentence. Damn it all to hell. As the mob flooded the tunnel, he cursed. Was there no medical precision for this kind of carnage? He hadn't studied the art of cave warfare. His scrolls and texts offered no sanctuary in this darkness. Desperation turned to cold resolve. He drew his steel. He would never beg for a life already forfeit. The lead bandit halted, brandishing a massive blade. "Just two of you," he sneered, his voice dripping with arrogance. "You dared to slaughter my men," he barked. "Was it you two lunatics who wiped out the patrol?" Silence was his only answer. Vo-Tan raised his blade, his eyes burning with a cold, murderous light. "Why ask?" he hissed, his inner power surging. "You'll be joining your pathetic comrades in hell very soon." Over 20 killers, more than he expected. There was no escape, only the dance of death remained. The bandit leader didn't flinch. Instead, He let out a dark, twisted laugh that echoed through the cavern. "Kill them before the master arrives." The bandits roared in unison as they surged forward like a tide. Bloodlust filled the air. Every single bandit hungered for the kill, their eyes locked on their prey. Wotan steeled his soul. With a death-defying leap, he dove into the fray. Fear had no place here. Survival meant one thing: absolute slaughter. Every movement was a lethal strike, a symphony of blood and steel. He fought like a demon possessed, his blade a blur as he cut through endless waves of enemies. Suddenly, reality hit him. He had unknowingly slaughtered every soul standing in his wake. His bloodlust had taken control. With enemies still swarming, the main character had no choice but to kill. There was no turning back. He could only grit his teeth and prepare for the bloody path ahead. Suddenly, 𝒂𝒔 leaped forward. He effortlessly crushed the remaining thugs, leaving the main character stunned. With a single move, he cleared the field. His eyes burned with fury as he faced the pirates. They were monstrously strong. "Wake up!" 𝒂𝒔's sharp shout snapped the main character back to reality. "You idiot," 𝒂𝒔 teased. "Were you planning to play the lone hero and die alone?" "If you die, who helps me find Tiu Thien?" The main character smirked. "Who said I'm dying?" Standing tall, he roared, "I won't die until I win back those 5 silvers I lost to you." The pirate leader turned red with rage at their mockery and gave the final, deadly order. "Kill them all, don't let them breathe." The pirates swarmed, but the duo blocked every incoming strike. 𝒂𝒔 wielded his staff like a god of war, shattering the bones of half the bandits. The main character unleashed his blade with a roar, joining his ally in a devastating whirlwind of steel. Their weapons were soon drenched in red. After the intense slaughter, fatigue finally began to set in. Exhausted, they leaned on each other. Only a miracle would allow them to survive this night alive. Suddenly, the main character's pupils contracted. A terrifying vibration shook the cave, freezing them in place. The bandits bowed in terror. The great chief, the fortress lord, has finally arrived. A scarred giant holding a massive axe emerged. The main character trembled at his overwhelming, monstrous presence. "So, you've learned some petty martial arts," the giant mocked. "It's been a while since I had fun." They raised their weapons, but the chief's eerie laughter seemed to vibrate through their very souls. The pressure was deafening. The main character realized this laughter was laced with immense, lethal internal energy. This man was at least a top-tier master. Yet, 𝒂𝒔 dared to spit out a bold insult. "Shut up, you trash. No matter how much you bark, you're just a beggar with a big knife." 𝒂𝒔 charged with his staff. He knew that against a lawless beast, only brute force mattered. The chief stood perfectly still. With a casual flick of his hand, he sent the staff flying back. "You think you're my equal?" The main character couldn't just watch, he had to join the fray. "Chu-san!" 𝒂𝒔 spun his weapon again, creating a violent cyclone to trap the giant. The chief grew annoyed. "Annoying brat," he growled, swinging his heavy blade with soul-crushing force. "Go ahead and talk," the giant sneered as his blade swept toward 𝒂𝒔's throat. "Die now." Clang! A sudden flash of steel intercepted the axe, sending sparks flying in a blinding explosion. The main character had successfully parried the strike, pushing back the leader's massive arm with desperate strength. The chief laughed, delivering a brutal kick that sent both heroes flying back, coughing up blood. The giant loomed over them, his arrogance radiating like a dark, suffocating aura. They looked small and defeated, but inside the main character, a righteous fury was reaching its peak. "He's not as strong as the old man," he thought, "but his internal energy is still terrifying." He recalled his mentor's divine lesson. When blades clash, the victor is decided in a single heartbeat. He gripped his sword, seeking ultimate speed, but the chief's mocking laughter began to shake his resolve. The monster was getting excited, his bloodlust rising as he savored the hunt. "Come on, who dies first?" he taunted. The main character stared back, hiding his growing fear. Damn it, there was no opening. His eyes searched frantically for a weakness, left or right. "Too slow," the boss roared, lunging forward with a speed that defied his massive size. "I'll break you slowly," the giant whispered. "Try to keep me entertained for a while." The main character blocked with everything he had, feeling his bones groan under the impossible weight. The mere wind from the axe sliced his skin. This monster was fast, strong, and completely unstoppable. He lashed out with demonic fury, his blade never ceasing for a single second. His strikes blurred before my eyes, yet they lacked the elder's terrifying speed. Seeing the opening, 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒂𝒔 lunged forward to join the struggle. He charged headlong with a deafening roar, taunting the monster. Is he insane? Has he truly abandoned all sense of fear for this fight? But the staff missed its mark entirely. Worse, 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒂𝒔 left his back wide open to a fatal strike. Wotan watched, calculating their next move. Damn it, I cannot track his movements. That bastard's blade rotation revealed a terrifying truth that sent shivers down Wotan's spine. He is merely playing with us. Wotan realized they were nothing more than mice trapped in a predator's cruel game. Exactly, to him, we are just pathetic toys, trembling beneath the sharp claws of a giant cat ready to kill. Carrying Lai Trung's legacy, Wotan knew he was a mouse raised by tigers. No matter the odds, he would find a way to win. Wotan's brow furrowed in deep concentration. If no path to victory existed, he would carve one out with his own hands. If all else failed, he would tear his way through with pure grit. As the enemy pushed him back, he surged forward again. Grimacing, Wotan barely deflected the relentless assault. The villain took flight, exploiting every split second of hesitation to press his brutal advantage. Unlike the twin dog assassins, who only knew basic slashes, this monster's style was far more unpredictable. Sabers struggle with upward strikes compared to swords. That slight delay when switching planes was the opening they needed to exploit. After endless calculations, the plan was clear. Bait his high swing and then strike deep into his exposed torso. Before he could act, 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒂𝒔 charged in, screaming ancestral techniques. To Wotan's ears, these shouts were just empty, desperate noise. Stop yelling the names. None of the hits landed, only inviting vicious counters. Wotan's gaze shifted as he analyzed the enemy anew. This freak blocked everything perfectly. Seeing his comrade take those bone-shattering punches, Wotan prepared to launch a reckless counterattack. They took turns attacking, but 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒂𝒔 was dazed by the sheer force of those fists. Rage boiled within Wotan. At this rate, they would both be dead soon. Stealing his resolve, he leveled his blade for a final gambit. The villain was not about to wait around. He lunged forward with killing intent. Barely dodging the strike, Wotan sought a weakness. Suddenly, the enemy's face blurred behind a flurry of lethal sword shadows. A palm strike nearly ended him. "Plotting something, little mouse?" the monster sneered, radiating pure, arrogant malice. "Fine, I will give you an opening." As Wotan closed in, the enemy's smirk deepened. Had he already seen through the plan? Steel clashed against steel, showering sparks everywhere. But Wotan's strength faltered, and he was violently blown back. Looking up, shock gripped him. Wind snake saber style. The enemy blurred across the ground, leaving only a trail of dust. In a heartbeat, the killer stood right before 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒂𝒔. The sheer speed of the maneuver left everyone frozen in disbelief. But then something unexpected happened. 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒂𝒔 was smirking. Damn it, is that idiot actually smiling right now? Using his momentum from above, 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒂𝒔 swung his staff down with everything he had left. Power surged through his palms, burning hot. Suddenly, he ditched the weapon. In a stunning feint, 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒂𝒔 lunged barehanded at the boss. The villain's eyes widened. The demon rotating chicken. Wotan could not help but grin. It was the ultimate distraction. The surprise lasted only a second before the monster delivered a bone-crushing kick straight to the chest. Blood sprayed from 𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒂𝒔's nose, but his gaze remained icy and focused. He was not done yet. He landed a heavy blow on the boss's shin, gripping his arm tightly. This was the moment. Wotan charged forward like lightning. The leader cackled with manic glee. So it is just a street rat's trick. How entertaining. He loved every second of carnage. He roared, swinging his massive arm. "Come at me, all of you!" That arrogant shout was the trigger Vo-Tan's brain needed. "All of us," Vo-Tan pivoted, gathering his strength. This was the golden opportunity Chu-San had risked his life to create. Gripping his sword, he lunged. "Even if I die, I am taking you down." Vo-Tan slipped through the gap in the guard. His eyes sharpened into blades. "Now, help me!" Understanding the signal, Cat-Joy yanked the monster's arm down with desperate strength. Vo-Tan's blade swept across the villain's throat in a single, crimson flash. Blood erupted as the 16th sword technique reached its climax. The leader's head spun through the air in a gruesome arc. Cat-Joy broke into a triumphant grin. Behind them, the enemy soldiers stood paralyzed, whispering in sheer terror at the sight. "He is dead. Should we run?" Amidst the chaos, only one man remained calm, staring down the two exhausted warriors. He roared at the retreating cowards. "Wake up, you fools! Who cares if the leader is dead? The battle continues." "Are you letting them take the treasure? They are exhausted." Vo-Tan gritted his teeth, realizing this new threat was dangerously sharp. Refusing to let Vo-Tan catch his breath, the man signaled the final charge. "Kill them all!" Unseen by his foe, his resolve crystallized. Even at death's door, he'd fight until his final breath. Meanwhile, Cat-Joy gripped his medicine box. Before Vo-Tan could react, he lunged forward, needles hidden in his palms. "Art!" Cat-Joy whispered, needles poised. With a thunderous roar, he unleashed a devastating, sweeping strike. 4,000 grips. Hearing that name sent a chill down his spine. Was this real? He stumbled upon a fake move once, and now he's shouting techniques that don't even exist. Vo-Tan watched the dancing needles, but their erratic movement defied every logic he knew. The needles struck the pirates, but the pathetic result made Vo-Tan want to curse Cat-Joy's smirking face. "Why so smug, you fool?" But suddenly a pained groan cut through the silence. The pirates collapsed, convulsing in agony. Vo-Tan realized this wasn't just luck, it was something far more calculated. Terror seized his heart. Who really killed them? Seeing the foaming corpses, the enemy leader screamed in rage. "You monster, what did you do to them?" The enemy stepped back, trembling with newfound fear. "A secret weapon," Vo-Tan smirked, seizing the chance to pressure them. "That's right, a deadly secret. One scratch of this poison means instant death. This is our moment. We can't let it slip away." His voice boomed with authority, forcing the cowards to retreat in sheer desperation. "Take one step closer and half of you die. So do you want to end this here?" He stood tall, his presence commanding. "As you said, does one death really matter to you? The treasure is your goal, right? But we didn't come for gold, we came for the kidnapped child." The enemy's expression remained cold and unreadable as the truth finally came to light. "You did all this for those beggar brats," he stammered, unable to comprehend their reckless resolve. "Rejecting fortune for mere beggars. How can we possibly believe such a ridiculous lie?" Vo-Tan drew his blade with icy calm. "Believe it or not, the price for doubt is death. Our paths diverge here." Their shadows lengthened as they vanished into the cave's crushing darkness. His warning still rang in their ears. "Follow us and you die. Choose your fate wisely." He watched them go, intrigued. Suddenly, a mysterious presence forced everyone's gaze toward the side path. They scrambled forward like rats, unaware that their monstrous opponents were actually hiding in sheer terror. "Get back, I'm the leader." Even in a crisis, their greed and ego were truly pathetic. Once the silence returned, they finally emerged, but a piercing scream forced them to look back. "Father, Vice Leader!" Teothine's voice broke as she reached out to her saviors. "Father!" Her sorrow vanished like mist in the sun. At last, the child was back with Tam-Ku. Overjoyed, he hoisted his daughter high. With hearts full of gratitude, they bid their heroes farewell. Cat-Joy waved through his swollen eyes, but Vo-Tan's gaze was fixed on his friend's bleeding hand. Blood seeped through the white bandages. Catching a battle axe with bare hands, he was lucky to be alive. As they walked, every eye was on them. Was this legendary trickery passed down through generations? Whatever it was, I'm glad we survived. So tell me, what's your next move? Climbing the stairs, he glanced back. I have no plan, no home. Mind if I tag along? Is that okay? But behind that simple request, a complex scheme was brewing in Cat Gioi's mind. The righteous faction and the red-faced elder would never let this go. Staying here was certain death. Wait, would my presence put everyone in danger? Before he could finish, Votan smirked. I don't care. Look at you, a beggar who just cheated death, now begging for a place to hide. Is being shameless your secret superpower? Votan laughed, while Cat Gioi's face turned beet red with rage. It's not begging, it's a strategic proposal. At the door, the real negotiations finally began. Food, drinks, and new gear. Who's paying? Since his reputation was trashed, Cat Gioi chose the path of a parasite. You've officially evolved from a beggar to a full-blown leech. Votan's teasing left him speechless. Their laughter died instantly. A cold, commanding voice shattered the light-hearted atmosphere. You two seem to be having quite the party while I was away. Lai Trung sipped his tea, his eyes sharp as daggers. Is this custom sword I forged holding up? He rushed to the old man like a puppy finding its master. The old man wasn't that interesting. What were you doing? You took 100 silver taels. Li Chung's face instantly soured. I had things on my mind, so I scouted around, but I blew it all at the gambling den. Luckily, Hong Gatgi was there. With that, the old man's tone shifted back to serious business. Sit down. Do you know the blood-soaked history between the righteous faction and the beggar union in Yongkayang? Outside, the streets buzzed. Did you hear the great fortress leader is dead? What, slain already? Curiosity flared like wildfire. Rumors claimed 2 youngsters did it. Are they rising stars from a great noble clan? Whispers reached the coast. No, I heard one of them was just a lowly blacksmith from the Tang family. A blacksmith? Impossible. While crowds swarmed the docks, the locals continued to gossip about the mystery. Those bandits were a plague. They're gone, right? Don't be naive. They're just hiding, waiting to strike again. The taunts echoed as the ship set sail. Like flies to filth, trouble always finds a way to cling. Exactly. The signal horn blared, announcing their departure toward the distant shores of Nam Kayang. The vessel cut through the waves. Behind them, the legend of the fallen fortress shook the entire city. On deck, Mujin gazed at the horizon. 2 weeks had passed since their narrow escape from Yongkayang. He smirked, clutching a heavy pouch. That sudden life-or-death struggle had yielded a massive, unexpected fortune. Everyone happily paid Mujin. The smiths gave 60 silver for passage, and the wilderness leader tipped another 10 taels. Only Li Chung and his comrade reached out to offer a firm, respectful handshake. We're partners 50-50. Mujin ignored the greed, laughing with the commoners. You have talent, I sell results. A farmer handed over a heavy bag and 3 gold bars, tokens of gratitude from merchants freed from bandits. Back to reality, he stared at his blade. The true reward, realizing that the need for power strikes unexpectedly. Under the midnight moon, Mujin trained relentlessly. If I slack off for even a second on this journey, if I ignore the smithing arts or fail to absorb this dark energy efficiently, those bandits would have killed me. Ignoring the prying eyes, his blade danced with lethal precision. 2 weeks remain until Namkayang. I must push my limits and forge an unbreakable will. No matter how much the world shakes me, watching from the shadows, Gatgi wondered, when did he become this monster? Since leaving Yongkayang, our sparring record was 7 wins and 8 losses. How is he evolving this fast? He received no answer. Mujin was buried deep in his own ambition, taking yet another step toward godhood. Blade pointed skyward, he vowed to become one with the steel. Suddenly, the sound of clapping shattered his focus. An intruder kept clapping. Sporting a handsome face, he stepped forward to offer a playful apology. Apologies, I was moonwatching and happened upon your training. Is it that late already? The stranger revealed his identity. I am Namgung Mayung. If you'll permit me, I'd like to request a duel. A peerless beauty under the starlight. I am the eldest son of the great Namgung clan, a top-tier master. Yet, a flicker of self-pity shadowed his handsome features. Now, I'm just drifting home, a supposed genius who failed to make a single wave in the 𝒉. I only fought small fry bandits. I dread my father's disappointment. Suddenly, Mayung's gaze was stolen by a fair-skinned hand. I met a girl. She didn't care about my clan's name or selfish expectations. Her ethereal beauty completely bewitched my heart. I've never met anyone like her. Mayung actually blushed like a schoolboy just thinking about her. Since she's indifferent, I must win her over. Just then, a cherry blossom petal drifted into his bowl. I felt free. He used light footwork to amuse her, feeling his heavy clan burdens vanish like mist. The way she smiled at that cherry blossom branch, it made Mayung's heart skip a beat. She shyly hid her face as he offered the flowers. But then, the clueless Mujin barged into the romance. That cherry blossom, it's burned into his brain. Mujin appeared, ignoring all atmosphere to beg for that branch. Someone has food poisoning. Please, give me that branch so I can use it for medicine. Cherry bark is great for stomach issues. Remembering this, Mayung felt his blood boil with pure rage. Medic by day, hidden warrior by night. Yet, he must watch his love drift into another's arms. The patient comes first. As 𝒊𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒓𝒄 smiles politely, Nam Kung Min's eyes burn with jealous rage. You truly are a radiant youth. Suddenly, the arrogant noble dons a mask of forced friendliness. Shall we spar? Great hero D-stroke letter 1B0, letter 1EDDNG. The sudden challenge leaves 𝒊𝒊𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒓𝒄's mind completely blank. Forget the duel. Is the Nam Kung clan's honor at stake? Unlike the medic, Kung Min has a dark scheme. I'll crush you for my family's glory. He grips his blade, leaving the young lady stunned by his intensity. His opponent holds only a wooden stick. Kung Min hesitates, feigning concern. Are you truly all right with that? Steel against wood. He scoffs internally, putting on a show of noble magnanimity for the audience. He prattles on, his heart dancing with the joy of finding such easy prey. To think a mere descendant of healers would dare step onto the path of supreme martial arts. I'm grateful for this chance to broaden my horizons. You're just a minor highlight in my legendary journey. Meanwhile, she searches the grounds. Excuse me, have you seen young Master Nam Kung Min? The onlookers stand dazed by her beauty. 𝒊𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒓𝒄, trapped, can only offer a stiff, awkward nod. Inside, his heart is screaming. He's walked straight into a disaster before even leaving Sichuan. The Nam Kung name is a legend, and this heir is clearly just hunting for a girl's affection. Facing those glaring eyes, 𝒊𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒓𝒄 reads 1,000 insults. That gaze, it's pure killing intent. The rage radiating from the noble is identical to the most difficult, stubborn patients at the clinic. I'll just act like a total amateur, 𝒊𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒓𝒄 decides, raising his wooden sword with fake clumsiness. He grimaces, pretending to exert every ounce of strength. Seeing this, Kung Min's ego swells to the heavens. Second-rate trash, the noble thinks. A slow, predictable strike aimed right at the shoulder. A wicked smirk creeps across his face. Crushing such a pathetic amateur almost feels beneath him. Kung Min stomps forward, his pride soaring. No, insects like this need to be taught their place. He spins his blade with flashy flair, maintaining his kind benefactor facade for the girl. He plans to humiliate 𝒊𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒓𝒄 with sophisticated techniques, followed by a devastating finisher. Calculating every move, the noble lets his silver blade dance, luring the wooden sword into a trap. Suddenly, the rhythm breaks. Kung Min's blade moves with an erratic, violent jerk. I'll parry and then unleash my ultimate move, he shouts internally, pulling back with explosive force. Disaster strikes. The wooden tip snaps off, mirroring a lethal strike inside Kung Min's panicked mind. The sharp wood whistles past his ear, leaving him paralyzed. It's aimed right for my throat. A cold flash of realization hits him. Kung Min glares at 𝒊𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒓𝒄, his face pale with shock. This brat, does he even know how to fight? No, his own counterforce had accelerated the strike. Rip, the expensive silk robe is torn to shreds. 𝒊𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅 watches, eyes wide with genuine worry. Kung Min ends up in a pathetic heap. Horrified, 𝒊𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅 drops to his knees in apology. Forgive me. I'm used to real blades. I didn't realize what could be so dangerous. The noble shakes a finger, desperately clinging to his dignity. It's fine. This happens daily in my clan. He struggles to his feet, still hunched over in pain, trying to look composed. Thank you for the lesson. Hero D-stroke letter 1B0, letter 1EDDNG. 𝒊𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅 quickly tries to downplay the situation. No, I'm the one who should apologize for this cheap wood. He bows, eager to flee the scene. We're out of practice swords, so let's end it here. But Kung Min's wounded pride won't let go. That was a magnificent strike. I felt no pain, only a sudden, profound enlightenment. 𝒊𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅 groans internally. He gave the fool an exit strategy, but the noble is too stubborn. Suddenly, Kung Min draws a masterpiece, a blade of exquisite craftsmanship and deadly beauty. Grant me more of your time. The golden hilt shimmers, leaving 𝒊𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅 frozen in disbelief. A duel with live steel. I won't use internal energy, the noble vows, staking his very honor. 𝒊𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅 sighs. He can't let this flashy peacock ruin his peaceful life any further. She shielded her eyes in terror, unable to watch. Her pure hopes were shattering into nothingness. Nam Gung unsheathed his blade. He would show him the Nam Gung clan's ultimate triple peak sword technique. He let out a primal roar. Even the infinite was staggered by that overwhelming inner power. Crushed by his sheer momentum, I agreed. Just how obsessed was he with that girl? He reset his stance instantly. Fine then, let's go again, he muttered with cold determination. Wu Jin didn't want to shame him, but Kung Min had other plans. Same move, but a very different result. In a flash, their blades collided with a shower of sparks. Kung Min played another trick, forcing Wu Jin's blade to slide. I will strike back tenfold. Suddenly, his blade fractured midair. Kung Min froze, paralyzed by the shock of the impact. My triple peak sword shattered. He stumbled back while Wu Jin continued his relentless charge. Wu Jin's eyes widened in shock. The coward had secretly unleashed his inner power. Kung Min realized his broken oath too late. Wu Jin acted first, forcefully separating their blades. Fury blazed in Wu Jin's eyes. You promised no inner power, Nam Gung great hero. He feigned humility. Forgive me, the habit of real combat took over. Please excuse my rudeness. But Wu Jin wasn't having it. A warrior's word is his life, no more excuses. Always the Nam Gung family name. Wu Jin sheathed his sword, his annoyance clear. Let's end this farce here. Kung Min stood silent, unable to utter a single word. Bowing low, his hatred festered. 3 times he'd been humiliated, hiding his shame behind his clan's name. Kung Min's eyes narrowed, tracking the protagonist's retreating back with venomous intent. Anyone else would have turned a secret training session into a lethal duel immediately. Arrogant Nam Gung trash. I only broke a wooden sword. I'm only tolerating you for your family. He stared at the crack in disbelief. No, the problem wasn't the sword at all. If I return like this, the elders will punish me. The thought of their cold faces made him spiral. His face darkened with a terrifying thought. My father, he will kill me for this. Wu Jin felt a murderous gaze on his back. Kung Min was trembling, lost in madness. How did it come to this? I was wrong. Please forgive me, I'm so sorry. In his panic, a dark realization struck him. Wait, this isn't my fault. What is that sword? A divine blade. His eyes locked onto the red iron masterpiece. Kung Min abandoned all pride and lunged forward, earning a look of pure disgust. Don't beg so pathetically. The duel ended strangely, but Wu Jin decided to let it go. You gave me fair conditions. Let's just treat this as a minor, unfortunate accident. He seized the chance. Thank you, great hero. By the way, would you sell that sword? The refusal was cold and final. Sell it, Never, this blade is special to me. Gung Min bowed deep, masking his greed. I understand. Forgive my unreasonable request. Thank you for your time. Good night. As he left, Wu Jin's suspicion only grew. He's dangerous. I've never met anyone more selfish, even compared to that red beggar. He stretched to relax, unaware that Gung Min's smile had turned into something demonic. 1 week until shore, I must avoid him, but 7 days later a scream ripped through the air. My sword, it's gone. Cat Joy rushed toward the familiar voice. Inside, Wu Jin was trembling among a mess of tossed clothes and broken furniture. Veins popped on his forehead as killing intent exploded. Meanwhile, the thief was already miles away. Gung Min had vanished with his prize, galloping into the night with a twisted joy. The divine sword is finally mine. He could already see himself ruling the heavens. My grand debut begins now. Ahead lay a massive fortress, a symbol of absolute power. The massive gates loomed ahead, tall and unyielding. Under the gaze of elite guards, a lone rider slips into the Namgung clan's shadows. He gently pets his horse. Easy now, overeating after such a journey causes indigestion. Just how fast did you run? He gauges the beast's exhaustion with a keen eye. Seeing the mud-caked stallion, he worries the young master is just as filthy. I hope his debut satisfies the Lord. I'd hate to return only to be scolded. Inside the palace, Kung Min stands covered in grime, clutching a precious, wrapped gift. He gazes at the dragon carving, feeling a suffocating pressure rise within his soul. Steeling his resolve, Kung Min readies himself and bursts through the massive doors. I'm back! His shout echoes, instantly drawing the sharp gazes of the great elders. Proclaiming his successful debut, Kung Min kneels and presents his treasure to his father. He hurriedly unwraps the silk cloth, revealing a divine blade of exquisite craftsmanship. His eyes gleam with arrogant triumph. Amidst the heavy silence, Tran Thien stands. His cold presence freezes the very air. So, you've returned. The Lord's gaze is frost, unimpressed by this grand debut. His voice drips with lethal intent. Was this worth interrupting our high-level meeting? Kung Min trembles under the weight of his father's overwhelming, suffocating aura. Outside, a massive crowd gathers. Among them, the mysterious youth, Vo Tan, finally arrives. Lai Trung scoffs at the lavish feast prepared for the returning hero. That's the sword demon's son, Vo Tan gasps, the legendary Namgung Tran Thien. Surveying the grand hall, Lai Trung explains the scale of this celebration. A feast this grand suggests a legendary success in the martial world. But Lai Trung smirks. Success? The fool simply stole 4 legendary blades. Vo Tan is stunned. How can a common thief be celebrated as a hero? He won't admit to theft, Lai Trung whispers. He'll claim it was his destiny. He'll spin a web of lies, making his crime sound like a heavenly blessing. Vo Tan frowns at the deception, but Lai Trung finds the situation perfect. Exposing a thief at his own victory banquet, that is true entertainment. Do you have a plan? Vo Tan asks, feeling the rising tension. A plan? Against the world's strongest sword demon. Schemes are useless here. Vo Tan hesitates. Shouldn't we wait? Ruining this banquet makes the Namgung our enemies. Lai Trung laughs. Better to be a mad dog than a coward who's easily crushed. To these nobles, their reputation is their entire world. That is their weakness. We will tear off their masks and reveal their filth to everyone. Suddenly, a man approaches, waving with a familiar, friendly grin. It is Namgung Tran Da, greeting Lai Trung like an old friend. 10 years, Tran Da. Does the stump I left you still itch? Tran Da chuckles, revealing his missing arm hidden beneath a long sleeve. Still sharp-tongued, I see. You should say you saved me from rot. He turns his attention to Vo Tan. A companion, that's new for you. Lai Trung introduces the youth. Just a wandering doctor with some business here. As he mentions business, Tran Da's face instantly drains of all color. The drums roll, announcing Lord Tran Thien and young Master Kung Min. The hall erupts in cheers for the supposed hero of the Namgung. Min enters, lifting a carved box high, followed by the stern great elders. The stolen blade is unveiled, as the massive hall overflows with witnesses. Tran Thien raised his glass, voice booming across the hall. "Welcome, everyone, to my son's grand martial debut." Though young, fate has blessed him with a legendary encounter during his first outing. He humbly introduced the divine blade as Nam Kung Min stood by, bursting with stolen pride. The guests cheered, raising their cups. "To this heaven-sent fortune, let us feast with the heroes." Tran Thien toasted to the clan's eternal glory. The hall roared with the prestige of the Nam Kung family. "Congratulations, clan leader. All hail the young hero Nam Kung Min for his righteous deeds." Beside his father, Min basked in the glory. He was too intoxicated by fame to see the coming storm. After speaking with Lai Trung, Tranda began to tremble. His face turned deathly pale. That sword, Min stole it. How could he commit such a suicidal, dishonorable fraud? If the truth comes out, the clan leader will shatter his dantian or imprison him forever. "Destroy his dantian?" Votan asked Lai Trung in shock. "Is that really possible?" "To do that to his own flesh and blood," Lai Trung narrowed his eyes. "That is the price of honor. Look at those two acting like kings. If their reputation is tarnished, everything burns. A leader must treat even his son as an enemy if he shames the bloodline." Votan hesitated. Min was a bastard, but that punishment felt devastatingly cruel. If he reclaimed his sword, Min's life would be over. The thought made him uneasy. Seeing Votan's doubt, a hand suddenly grabbed him. It was Tran De, desperate and broken. "Please, Duong Yan, I'll pay any price. Just overlook my son's sin this once." Votan stammered, caught in a moral web, but his mentor wasn't having it. "Enough," Lai Trung growled. "Asking to hide a crime is a crime in itself, Nam Kung Tran De. How can an elder of a sword clan ask a victim to forget his stolen blade?" Tran De was stunned. Wasn't this boy just a lowly medic? "I see. Traveling with the mad doctor, this boy is both a healer and a warrior." Mid-party, Tran De bowed low before Votan. "Please, just reconsider one last time." He didn't dare look up. Min only did it to finally be recognized by his father. A heavy, suffocating silence fell over the corner of the banquet hall. "Justice must be served," Lai Trung declared. "A man must carry the weight of his own sins. I understand your worry for the heir, but you are the one who needs to change." Tran De froze. Looking at the stern clan leader, he heard Lai Trung's final warning. "The Nam Kung legacy you both protect." His voice carried a terrifying, invisible weight. "Will you leave it to a coward who hides behind a lie?" Lai Trung turned to leave. He walked with the stride of a true grandmaster, indifferent to the chaos he was starting. Lai Trung's presence stood out in the crowd, yet he stopped just behind the front row. Suddenly, he lifted his leg. An overwhelming aura exploded, making the very air tremble. Tran De bit his lip. As Lai Trung's foot descended, the pressure became absolutely unbearable. Asterisk boom, the ground shattered. Guests fell in piles as wine glasses exploded from the shockwave. Only Tran Thien held his cup steady, glaring down. Lai Trung scoffed, "Greetings." Classic Lai Trung, always making a grand entrance. "It's been a long time, old friend." "Hero Tran Thien, sorry for the intrusion, but I've come to take back what was stolen." Every eye followed his finger. That spirit-parting sword belongs to this young man. The clan leader's eyes widened. Beside him, Min didn't even dare to look up. Votan stood paralyzed, as Tran Thien's pride was pushed to the absolute breaking point. "Mad Dr. Lai Trung, you return after years just to spout such pathetic nonsense." His face hardened into a mask of rage. "Min, speak. What is the meaning of this?" Votan rushed forward as Lai Trung grinned. The legendary reclamation had finally begun. Young Master Nam Kung Min's debut was cut short as the mysterious 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅 suddenly blocked his path. Lord Nam Kung 𝒌𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅 shouted in shock, demanding an immediate explanation for this intrusion. 𝒌𝒊𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅 listened coldly as 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒍𝒔 spun his tale. My family heirloom, the soul-severing blade, was stolen. Kung Min trembled, while 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 skillfully lied, claiming the legendary sword had been traced to this very spot. The crowd erupted in whispers at the accusation. Amidst 𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔's darkening expression, 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 took the blame. The failure to protect the blade lies solely with me, he claimed. He bowed, pleading for the sword's safety. The festive air instantly vanished, replaced by a suffocating tension. Kung Min panicked, wondering if his theft was exposed. But more importantly, how would his father react? He glanced nervously at 𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔. Suddenly, the Lord stepped forward and approached the blade. 𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 gripped the hilt and drew the steel. A blinding flash of light erupted before 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔's eyes. Such is the power of a great family head. 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 couldn't even begin to guess his intentions. The sword slammed into the ground before 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔. Lai Trung watched, amused by this escalating drama. The Lord himself had joined the stage. Can you prove this heirloom truly belongs to you? His gaze turned lethal. If you fail to prove it, you'll pay with your life. A cold shiver ran down 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔's spine. The pressure from the Lord was overwhelming. Death was staring him in the face. Desperate, 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 looked to Lai Trung for a way out. The old man simply sighed. Show us how you'll prove its lineage, boy. His mentor's eyes were clear. You got yourself into this, now fix it. He couldn't just produce a duplicate. Could he claim he could forge a perfect twin? A spark of madness flashed in 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔's eyes. I can make an identical one, he declared boldly. 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 gripped the blade with newfound confidence. This soul-severing blade holds a hidden secret. 𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 was stunned by the brat's sheer audacity. 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 claimed the sword needed a secluded, hot place. With a straight face, 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 dropped a bombshell. This sword is capable of giving birth. It is currently pregnant, 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 continued, and will deliver its offspring in 5 days. The entire hall fell silent for a heartbeat before exploding into mocking, hysterical laughter. As the crowd jeered, 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 felt a pang of regret. Had he pushed this ridiculous lie too far? 𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 turned to Lai Trung with a predatory smile. Will you vouch for this nonsense, divine doctor? To everyone's shock, Lai Trung didn't hesitate. Of course, he stated with absolute certainty. The divine doctor never lied, no matter how eccentric. The hall fell into a confused, stunned silence. A deadly wager was struck. Go to the abandoned forge on the southern hill, 𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 commanded. But if there's no baby sword in 5 days, both your heads will be served on a platter. Later, at the derelict forge, Lai Trung sat in silence before suddenly shouting, This won't do. 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔, hauling firewood, was confused. What? Is the sword birth plan failing already? Lai Trung waved him off. The sword's pregnancy wasn't the issue at all. Why do you think I chose to be a mad dog? 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 tilted his head. To avoid being prey. Exactly, the mentor agreed. To stop being prey, you must learn to strike back. Lai Trung's voice grew heavy with disappointment. In that sense, you're far too easy to bully. 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 protested. It's not being weak, it's being noble. Please call it great character instead. An eye for an eye, that's just not me. Lai Trung grew irritated by his disciple's naivety. This is no time for kindness, he warned. In this world, most things can't be ignored. His gaze turned razor-sharp. Never return malice for kindness, that much is true. But never, ever return kindness for malice. 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 winced at the old man's mounting fury. But the Nam Kung family will be grateful, 𝒊𝒌𝒊𝒍𝒔 argued, hoping for a peaceful resolution. A village doctor can be soft, Lai Trung snapped, but your enemies now are ruthless warriors. Repay evil with good, and you're just inviting the dogs to rip out your throat. Vo-Tan is hopelessly stubborn. Sometimes, a single act of mercy is deadlier than 10 enemies. Your naivety proves you know nothing of a true warrior's soul. A martial artist's malice only ends in blood. The truth of this world is heartless. Deep in the woods, a predator lurks. Li Zhang pins the boy down, keeping the enemy in sight. He strikes Vo-Tan's head, a harsh wake-up call against the dangers of cheap, misplaced kindness. Forget what Nam Kung said. Never let your heart soften. Li Zhang settles back into the shadows. As a healer, you must offer kindness, but never forget the weight of that burden. He looks at Vo-Tan with pity. Good or bad, every debt must be repaid in full. Don't wait for a strike to understand. Nearby, a mysterious figure slays a prowling wolf. Vo-Tan nods. He returns to the forge, laboring to give birth to the sword under Li Zhang's watchful gaze. 5 days later, the elite gather at the Nam Kung estate, breathless for the final reveal. The infant sword is breathtakingly beautiful, its refinement far surpassing the original mother blade. Its movement is a dance of death, shattering the opponent's steel before they even realize it. Shards of metal rain down. The crowd stands frozen in absolute, soul-shaking disbelief. The legendary blade lies in ruins. Everyone realizes it. Both are divine artifacts of supreme power. The appraiser declares both authentic. Kung Min's heart sinks, knowing one must be a clever lie. I thought you'd find a replica, but this blade feels like it was truly born from the original. He examines the edge, watching it hum as it effortlessly slices through the thin air. The balance is flawless. I cannot tell which blade the young master brought home first. They are perfect twins. Suddenly, Tranthine's booming, crazed laughter erupts, chilling the air. His laughter grows more frantic. You are right. These are indeed the legendary twin blades. Then, with a dramatic flourish, he points. The true mother sword was there all along. Vo-Tan swings the steel with divine grace, shattering the appraiser's weapon to prove its purity. He presents the 3 masterpieces. Yet, Kung Min stubbornly refuses to admit his treachery. I care not how you did it, but justice has finally prevailed for the true owner. Suddenly, Vo-Tan blocks his path, echoing his words with cold intensity. Justice prevails indeed. Even a stray dog finds a nest to give birth. Vo-Tan chooses to veil the dark secret. There must be a reason this blade found you. Thank you for safeguarding the soul-severing sword. With a chillingly polite smile, he hands the blade back. Please, cherish it this time. Safe in the guest quarters, Vo-Tan finally exhales. I really thought my life was over. Li Zhang scoffs at him. Are you trying to hide those shaking legs, you coward? This time you were lucky, but fortune is fickle. Never forget the spirit ball's lesson. Vo-Tan clutches his sword, breathing a heavy sigh of relief. I will remember it, master. Li Zhang's voice turns cold. Do not get comfortable. This game is far from over. Debts must be settled in full. It is time we collect our due from our partners. A sudden knock shatters the silence. Tranthine enters grimly, a trembling Kung Min trailing behind. Speak of the devil. Tranthine's overwhelming aura fills the room like a crushing weight. Tranthine bows his head. I must apologize. My foolish son has committed a grave sin. I heard he tried to flee with the divine treasure. Is that the truth? Vo-Tan sweats. No need for lies. When I questioned him, the coward confessed to everything he did. He returns the blade to Vo-Tan. A blood debt must be repaid. Vo-Tan stares in shock. Tranthine turns to his son. Min, what happened to the maid who stole that silver ring? Vo-Tan senses the impending tragedy. A heavy, suffocating silence falls over the entire room. With a trembling voice, Kung Min admits her hand was severed. Vo-Tan's eyes widen in horror. There is no mercy in his gaze. The verdict is set, and a blade is drawn instantly. A father's blade swings with terrifying cruelty, shattering the peaceful memory of an afternoon at the family dojo. Back then, young Kung Min was nothing but a diligent, bright-eyed boy. The Namgung crest and the dragon statue, symbols that burned themselves into his very soul. My life was defined by the sword, from a childhood toy to a rigid, absolute law of existence. His father's expectations were like iron shackles, forging a path he never chose. A future clan leader, molded by brutal discipline. Looking at his father, Kung Min felt only paralyzing fear. He endured the lashings and the cold indifference, always chasing his father's distant, unreachable shadow. That silent back always whispered, "You are weak, become worthy of the Namgung name." The invisible pressure mounted for years until he finally snapped. He would gain power at any cost. And so, I stole the divine sword. Desperation for approval strangled his honor, leaving behind only a hollow, dirty shell of a man. Strength was all that mattered. With that legendary blade, I finally felt the warmth of praise. But it was all a lie, a pathetic excuse I clung to just to keep breathing. As death swung toward him, he felt a strange relief. No more excuses, no more lies. Sudden impact. A hilt intercepted the strike. Kung Min stared in shock. He had narrowly escaped a gruesome fate. The only man bold enough to stop the clan leader's wrath was Infinite. Tran Thien roared, "Young hero, why interfere? A hand stolen demands a hand in return." Infinite gritted his teeth. "He sinned, yes, but you've heard the truth. Is this truly justice?" "I was taught that every debt must be repaid in kind." "But I have already paid for his crimes," Infinite stated calmly. The crowd gasped at his audacity. Infinite immediately challenged Tran Thien's logic. Why tighten a knot that has already been untied? Tran Thien sheathed his blade, impressed. "Wise words. Your heart is noble, so I shall step down. Your mercy just saved the future of the Namgung clan. As a leader, I acknowledge your worth. Thanks to you, our family's deep shame remains hidden from the world. You secured the divine sword for us. How can the Namgung clan repay these 3 massive favors?" Dawn broke over the horizon. As Infinite prepared to leave, Kung Min bowed until his forehead touched the earth. "I will repay this life debt one day." Finally, the storm had passed for good. But as they neared the gates, a servant stopped them. "Did you really forge that god-tier blade in 5 days?" Infinite froze. The servant smiled. "Your blistered palms and the iron dust under your nails gave it away." He looked at Infinite with pure awe. "The world is vast, and you are truly extraordinary." Infinite scratched his head, embarrassed. "Extraordinary? Not even close." His mind drifted back to Kung Min. Does that guy really plan to repay me? His master already stripped the clan of everything. Last night, Li Chung demanded a massive list of rewards, including the forbidden heavenly martial archive. Spirit pills, rare herbs, and even a duel with the clan leader. Tran Thien had agreed to it all. Why ask someone who has nothing? Well, if he wants to pay me back, so be it. The servant turned back. "The Shaolin Temple has been searching for someone with your divine touch. Ever since I was young, they've hunted all of Central Plains for a master of mechanisms. They have a device they can't fix." Li Chung squinted. "Sounds like the Wooden Man Alley." The Wooden Man Alley. Li Chung explained it was a legendary, ancient mechanical formation. "Shaolin is on our way to Luyang. We should stop by and test our luck." Li Chung grinned. "But first, let's start with our very first reward." The massive library doors groaned open. Infinite's jaw hit the floor in pure amazement. "You may choose one scroll under my watch," the servant said. Infinite's eyes scanned the golden shelves. While his master hunted for legendary arts, Li Chung pulled down a dusty, ancient book, The Art of the Fleeing Monkey ***. Infinite's face fell. "The fleeing monkey. I trained like a demon just to learn how to run away." The servants whispered in disbelief. Why choose this junk when legendary blade techniques were within his reach? "So you crave a divine art?" Li Chung's grin turned predatory. "Silence. Memorize this chant before the awakening begins." Wanton nodded. Moments later, strange bundles arrived. The master's voice cut through the air. "Is it memorized yet?" Confusion gripped Wanton. "But this makes 0 sense." Li Chung just shrugged. "Perfect. Recite it every time you train." Wanton's skepticism flared. "Will this really grant me power?" The master's cold voice cut him off instantly. Reaching into the bag, Li Cheng pulled out a steaming mass. He laughed darkly. "Swallow this first." He forced it down. "What did you feed me? Your face looks like a monster's." The object writhed like a living parasite. Paired with Li Cheng's twisted, manic gaze, the sight was absolutely revolting.